oh, I really like this character. I like her so much that I would like to rape her. And I'm like, what?
Pardon?
What? That's a way to do it. That's a way to do it. Okay.
It kind of feels like that is like the opposite end of the spectrum.
Well, and then they just continue on about, oh, she's so cute and I love her so much. And I'm like, well, can we go step back a couple of seconds here? What did you just say?
Oh, she's so hot. I just want her to get hit by a car and so I could do her corpse.
I'm like, oh, God. These are the people that look at my stuff.
That's kind of apt for the conversation we'll be having later on today. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, welcome. Today we are joined by our good friend Amocin. Say hi, Amocin.
Amocin.
Amocin. Oh, that's how you pronounce it.
You had never you choose now.
I know. I corrected you
on camera.
I corrected you once before, and
yeah,
you
I was probably drunk.
I think maybe you were not listening. And I'm like, I'm going to let it go.
This is my first time ever hearing Amocin, because I've been saying Amocin my entire life.
Thank you.
But I think this is like also the second time I've ever heard you in a call, though, so.
Yeah, I think everybody pronounces it that way, but a quick thing is that it used to be, the reason why I pronounce it that way is because it used to be reversed. And so this reversed, it sounds like a K. So that's why I always kept it that way. But I had to change my name, so I reversed it, and I just kind of kept the same sounds.
Okay.
It actually does sound cooler as Amocin than Amocin, I gotta say.
But most people call me Amo, so there's no really need to bring it up sometimes.
Fair enough. Amo, what do you do? Like I've shilled your comic plenty of times, but for those of you for those people who only listen to the podcast, what do you do?
Well, I'm a stay-at-home mom and artist, so I draw furry comics and furry content and adult stuff, and just generally, I like to make stories and draw furry peoples doing furry things.
Yeah, you used to do Druids, the comic that took place in Warcraft, right?
Yes. I wasn't. I think I was playing Warcraft for just a little bit on my own, and I'm like, oh, this would be a nifty idea. And so I started off on that. People just gravitated to it. I had only intended it to be like 16 pages, and then now it ended at 400 something. And I'm like, wow, that. Yeah, I never intended it to go that long, but people enjoyed it. So I'm like, okay, I'll keep with this WoW thing. And that involved a lot of lore research, more than I thought it would. I'm like, I don't know anything about this game. So, yeah, and now I'm doing Skylord, which is a collaboration between me and my husband. He made the world, and I pretty much am filling it with characters and story.
I always like to see that. Like we see it with Skid and Foofy and what the fuck, Dreamkeepers drawing a blank.
David and Liz,
and now you with your husband. Like people who come together to create like something creative and like then manage like marriage outside of that. I think that's legit impressive. But yeah, like speaking about the whole Warcraft thing, it seems like it's a running theme at the podcast these days that we have to talk about that. But I always found it pretty interesting that like you have this comic that is like completely about, well, there are some liberties in it from what I can understand, but like it's very grounded in Warcraft, and. Mm-hmm. I always like the thing about you is that you have sometimes like poke me going like, hey, I know that you fucking hate Blizzard, but I still like it. and I kind of liked how like there was at no point where I was going off and like trash talking Warcraft and Blizzard where you went, oh, this fucking asshole. You were always just very much nah, like yeah, he has his opinion, but I still like it, and I always like really appreciated that.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's allowed their opinion, and I can understand everybody's respective views on that. Like, I really do enjoy some of the lore aspects, and I mean, recently I haven't been too happy with how that story was going, but
oh, really?
I mean, it didn't make sense to me, and some of the, like, I get a lot of people who will tell me, like, oh, you got this wrong in the lore, or, oh, there's no such thing as Worgen Death Knights, and I'm like, but there are in the game, so why are you saying they can't exist? The game says they can exist, and I've had to work around that, so I understand why some people hate it and why some people like it, and I'm not going to blame you for it. I will blame you for not liking Dragon Age, though.
Okay, that's fair. I like Morrigan. Does that count?
That's fine.
I haven't played either, so I am so far out of my depth. So you guys go at it.
Now, like, so there's a thing about, like, I legit like Dragon Age for what it did at the time, because it was a game where it like where, like, when you create your character, you create your background, you create like your class and all this stuff, and all of these different elements that you put into your character determines where your character starts, and there will be like unique dialogue choices depending on that background. And I think that I also appreciated was that when like whenever you were doing something, there was always like a role happening behind the scene, and you could actually toggle a thing, so you could see, like, oh, you rolled a crit, so therefore you can now do, like, break the store down or something. So it was technically like playing Dungeons and Dragons, which I really appreciated. I think where I started losing the plot was because Dragon Age 1 is actually a fantastic game, and Mass Effect 1 is also a fantastic game. But then BioWare started doing BioWare things, and it felt like they started losing the plot. And they also started doing that thing that we were talking about last week, where it's like, hey, we got gay people, give us money. Like, like they were so fucking proud of gay people. And then, you know, it's fine that they're in there, but it was like they use it as I am dead fucking certain. If you track down Dragon Age 2, you can find hook up with gay people as a bullet point on the back of the box.
Oh no, like this, and the fandom can be pretty toxic too. Like there's Shale is one of my favorite characters, and she's a golem, but she was spoiler alert, she was a dwarf whose soul was put into the golem to make the golem work. And when you talk to her, you're like, oh, and you find out she's a girl. You go, oh, you're a girl, and she's like, well, I'm not really anything anymore because I'm an automaton. And like some people took that as like, oh, she's non-sexual or whatever, and you can't call her a woman. She's you know, like the non-binary, and so they went crazy with it to the point where there was a forum that I had responded on, like, oh, who's your favorite female character in Dragon Age? And I'm like, Shale. And there is some lady who went off on me, and I'm like, man, she said she's not female because she doesn't have genitalia. I don't think she was identifying as non-binary, and they just continue to go off on me. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna step out.
It's a fucking video game.
I just wanted to have a nice conversation about a character I liked.
Yeah. It's funny that you mention her, because I think like my friend Alice, who's also a huge fan of the Dragon Age games, like I think that that Golem is actually also one of her favorite characters. I feel that I've at least heard her talk about it before. There's a thing, like, now that we're talking about BioWare, a thing that I think is really, like, a thing that really rubbed me the wrong way. And that is, like, I love role-playing games, especially because, like, the entire idea is that you have to, like, play a role. And so, I always liked role-playing games where, like, you got, like, a list of choices. But the problem with BioWare was that they always started they made it for idiots. So it was always, the top thing is the good choice, and the bottom thing is the evil choice. And then you have the thing in the middle. And then, like, in Dragon Age 3, and I think also Andromeda, I haven't played it, but I've heard it, they made like a fucking fourth option, which is the romance option. And it's like, one of the things I liked the most about like the old BioWare games was that like you had to fucking follow a damn near like a strategy guide if you want to like hook up with one of the characters. But in Dragon Age Inquisition, it's just like pick the one that has the heart out in front of it. Like that makes it feel like so unnatural. You're not like
it
doesn't become like you hooking up with this person all organically or something. It's like I pushed the button and now you're my girlfriend, I guess.
Yeah, so to that point in the first one, like you could have a romantic but serious conversation, or you could do that same conversation again and make it like humorous, and you still lead down the romance path, but you could choose to be like a hard ass or a funny person. So the conversation can have the same end, but you say it differently and it has different results. Like. Yeah. One of the more famous quotes is like, "Oh, have you ever licked a lamppost in winter?" You only get that if you follow kind of a humorous path, but you can still romance that character. It's not like, "Oh, I missed my opportunity to romance them because I didn't click the heart."
I wish it was like that in real life. Like, like you just get a fucking prompt that you can use, like whenever you have to hook up with someone.
Is that what Tinder's supposed to be?
Yeah, I fucking wish. It's like, oh, you're short? Fuck out of here.
It's like the anti-version of it.
Mm. All right, so there's been a week going on, but we're gonna talk about that later because that is some heavy stuff. Emma, we wanted you to come in here, both because, like, you've always kind of been like the mother of the Webcast Relief Discord, which I find really like endearing. But you said before that you've done like a lot of adult stuff, and you and I got to talking, and you said you had a lot of interesting things to say about that community, and all we kind of needed was to put a microphone in front of you. So I thought it would be pretty interesting to hear, like, what's it like to be in the adult furry community?
Jeez, insane in ways that you can't even imagine. Because like, there's some people who will be nice and good and calm about it, and then some like, oh, give me the description of what you want. And it is the nastiest, raunchiest thing that you've ever read in your life. I'm like, man, you could have totally written that differently to where I didn't feel uncomfortable. But now I do.
It's
like the terminology of like, oh, I would like these two passionately embracing, or no, I want these guys fucking, and it's like, oh god, why do you have to describe it like this?
I want him to wear her like a hand puppet.
Or some of them who have like wildly, like, I'm like, I know you're a man because no woman would ever request this, where it's like, the dude's junk is as big as a woman. I'm like, that would hurt. She'd be dead.
She'd be dead.
I know anatomy is not the strong suit because of the whole, like, the context of what this is, but there has to be limits somewhere. Not made of rubber.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, the expectations of how much fluids a man has and stuff like, and they're like, no, give it more. I'm like, no, that's not real.
He's gonna be a fucking mummy.
Do you ever think just because like it's furries, you're already, because of it, everyone's already anthropomorphic, like you're already breaking the rules? So why not just go all the way? Do you ever think that's the mentality for some people?
I don't know. I think more along the lines of they're just like, oh, they accept me for being a furry, so let's just see as far as we can take this nonsense. And some people really do, while you have some of the more tame people, and then you have like, okay, like the first commission I ever had sent to me was from a friend. He's like, oh, I'm too busy to do this. Can you do this? And I I had just barely like wet my toes in the whole like drawing adult stuff. So I hadn't established what I was or wasn't willing to draw, and he drew everything. So I got a description of a dragon with like double D tits and like actual measurements of the dick size, and I'm like, oh my god, no.
Oh,
like
yeah.
if this is the first commission I get, what is like the 10th one gonna be? So I'm like, I'm gonna step back for a couple more years, thanks.
I'm glad you had the experience, just so you know the craziness. Okay,
It is crazy, but sometimes it's also really calm. Like I've commissioned adult things from people before, and I like to put them in. I know how to word myself properly to where I'm like, I'm not making you uncomfortable. Let's just, and then I'll have people who contact me and go, "Hey, do you get like randy when you draw adult stuff?" I'm like, "No, I really don't."
Oh,
Yeah, there is that
I
one
hate
comic of like where it's like how people think it's like doing like raunchy stuff, and it's like this girl who's like woo, and she's like drawing something, and then it's like what is actually like fucking extra big tits. Really, they've already been drawn 6 times.
Or like my brother has like come up behind me while I'm drawing, and he's like, how many more times are you gonna, press the undo button? Because I'll like, no, that curve's not right. No, that curve's not right. So in the middle of that, how am I gonna like feel anything for this other than like, no, it's not, like the curve of the butt is not right. It's no, I don't, I think they want you to answer yes so they can like get off to it more. And I'm like, no.
That's okay. So I know this is a thing, and I kind of have to ask because I know I have friends of multiple genders, like just who experience this, and to be a woman who draws stuff and to be a guy who draws stuff are two completely different experiences.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I kind of have to ask, how many of your clients tried like coming on to you while asking for these things? Because I feel like
so on my FA at the very top, it not only lists my husband, but I am not into Yiffy and I am not into roleplay. Just don't ask, and it's there for a reason. Like, sometimes they don't even commission me, and they're just like, "Oh, hey, I'm a fan of your work," and then they start role playing in the chat, like where they're just like, "Oh, Cuddle's up next to you," and I'm like, "Please don't do that." It happens. It's so skeezy to me. I'm like, oh god, I'm just getting skeezed out thinking about it. Just ugh.
So
I'm
like
so
it's funny that you say that because my ex-girlfriend when me and her first started talking, she was also on this furry meat platform or whatever the fuck, and we had just started dating. And then one dude like started messaging her, which is fine. Like I'm not like the jealous type. She can talk with whoever she wanted. And this guy didn't like. Oh yeah, like it was like, oh, Nuzzle's up against you, and she does the role play back and you. Yeah. But then like he goes from 0 to 100 real quick, where it's like. Starts fucking pounding you and filling you up, and she's like, "No, oh my god, guy!" And then and he just keeps fucking going and going and going, and she's like, "Dude, I have a fucking boyfriend." And then he's like, "Hi, it was just a joke."
It was just a joke.
And then like I think a day or so passed, and then he's right back in there.
Yeah, there's just some people who are like unapologetic about it. They're just like, oh, I'm just going to get right into it. They're not even going to ask any questions like, hey, are you okay with this? Like, no, I'm just going to start writing the most disgusting filth you have ever read in your life.
If it wasn't in the context of the internet, that'd be rape.
Yeah. And I've had a similar experience where I talked to you earlier about how I played a game called Forcadia, and it was kind of like a chat room, but you like had characters that you could move around the map and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I had a dragon avatar, and I was just like sitting AFK somewhere, waiting for my other friends to get online, so we could play. And like some raccoon comes up to me, and he's like, "Oh, you're a dragon?" I'm like, "Yeah, I mean," and we weren't in character. It was just like in the open area where you just talk out of character. And then he starts going into how I learned what unbirthing was that day, and I'm not proud of it. And I'm like, what? And so, yeah, when my friends said to come online, I'm like, I have been traumatized.
There's something really funny about the fact that you specifically remember that it was a raccoon. I don't know why, that just fucking finds me. It's so fucking funny. Because I was a dragon, so he was talking about how big I was, and because he was a raccoon and how little he was, and I'm like, why?
No.
And that's why I remember it was a raccoon, because it was very specific that he was small and I was big because I was sitting around as a dragon. And I'm like,
I know like the biggest furry narrative is like this is like the 1% of furries or the 0.5% of furries that are this increasingly crazy. It's just I feel like it doesn't matter how many of them are. It's just the frequency, like we run into shit like this. That's a problem.
Yes. And, I used to say for every 10 people, one of them is probably somebody you never ever want to talk to.
Oh, yeah.
Which is still fucked in a way.
Yeah. It's far more than you think, but also a lot less than you think.
Go on.
No, you go on. It's fine.
So like that actually makes me like make me want to ask a question. Like obviously, from what I can understand, and feel free to correct me. The majority of the adult content you have made is furry. Is all of it furry or?
All of it is.
Okay.
Because it's all furry, but it's all antho furry, and I make that distinction because I'm like, there are people who are like, oh, here's like a literal dog that they've drawn, and I'm like, oh, but no, that like don't do things to Clifford, stop that, because he's a dog. I take the approach of they're anthro, they can speak just the same as us, and then that's cool because it just it's like all the
at that point.
Yeah, it's like y'all aren't gonna be having issues with Kirk going around and messing with all these alien women. This is no different. So they can consent, they have a mind, they're intelligent, and that dog is just a dog. So leave that dog alone.
So, but like the reason why I want to ask is just like in case did you had any experience like with the furry community versus the non-furry community, like if there's a particular difference in behavior between them that you had taken note of, but if all of your clientele has been of the furry community, then I can imagine that's not a
I've only dealt with the furry community.
Okay. That's fine.
I have plenty of friends who do draw the lewdy stuff, and they've gotten a lot of bad things from one way or the other. So I could probably chime in if that matters.
By all means,
because I've heard horror stories. I had a friend who drew a specific type of fetish, and this happened over DeviantArt. So, prefacing that, he got contacted by this one person who wanted very specific, weird Arthur torture porn, and it was just so graphic. The guy just like, I don't care if you're trying to take the piss out of this, but he just ended up blocking the customer altogether.
Awful.
Which was also
like,
weird
like
because
the cartoon character.
The one that got canceled recently, yes.
Like that's also a kid.
Yeah, it was like, supposedly the guy like he did like commissions for him before, and it was like, it's like women and shit. But it's like, okay, what if this character from this show was in a Chinese internment camp? And I'm like, no, you are out of this. I'm never talking to you ever again. There's some fucked up people in this world. And they're not just furries, just fucked up people in this world.
Yeah, there are tons of. I've read many stories of like what other people have had to deal with. I can't remember any of them, but people are freaky no matter where you go. It's how open they're willing to be about it. Some of them just keep it to themselves.
Yeah, because that's like the thing when it comes to like you can be as raunchy and dirty as you want to be as long as it's legal. Just keep it to yourself and your significant other, and you do you. But like there are these people who are just like, hey, want to see me eat a person with my dick? And it's like
cock for.
You need to cease.
Jeez.
Stop showing me this thing. I don't want to see it.
Yeah, like you do you, but like, don't fucking rub it in my face.
There was another example that's not like exactly raunchy, but it was just like this weird entitlement, and I feel like you might have run into some of these before. A friend of mine ran commissions, and so you're expected to be paid for your artwork. There was this one person who was just dumping like weird fetish ideas into this guy's notes on DA, and he was expecting my friend to like make this into a comic, like 6 pages at least to go on going. And he's like, "How much are you gonna pay me for this?" And I shit you not, the guy said, "Okay, so you make the comic, I post it, I don't pay you anything, but people come to you.
For exposure.
And we both wins."
I've gotten that.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Yes.
I've had so many emails from people. There was actually one in particular I will never forget. I will call him Z, and that is the only way I can identify him. I got literally hundreds of emails from this dude who wanted to be in Druids, and he didn't want to pay anything. And I did have 2 people who were in it, and he wanted not only to not pay anything, but he wanted to take over as lead protagonist. And every time I told him no, he would come like with a different character, like, oh, maybe that character didn't work. Well, how about this character? And I'm like, no, this is my comic. No. Well, how about I help you write it? No. Oh, but we can make so much money. I'm like, no.
No.
It's just... And there's so many who are like, oh, will you draw my comic for free? And I'm like, I'm drawing my own stuff right now. I don't have time for your stuff, especially for free. Well, I thought you liked art. Why does it always have to be about money? And I'm like, because I could be drawing something that will make me money, and I have to eat.
Like, the entitled people are the worst. It doesn't matter if you're furry or not. You're just awful. And it seems to always go to, like, the people who draw raunchy shit.
Not always. Sometimes it's just like they'll do, like, some people will just like make like little pixel art that's cute, and somebody's like, oh, that took you no time at all. Do me for free. It's like, no. That's why there's like a whole Reddit thing that's called Choosing Beggars, and you see so many artists and stuff where it's like these people want things for free because, oh, maybe one time you gave somebody something for free. It's like, yeah, but that was my friend. So they can get it for free because they're my friend. Well, then can I be your friend? I'm like, not if you want something for free.
Okay, actually, I have a story now because I just remembered the story of Shit Justin. I'm going to call him Shit Justin because I hate him. But I had a guy who would follow me around, wanted to be my friend, because I would commission a lot of people. And for my birthday, I got a lot of GIF fan art because friends were appreciative. And because he was this guy wanted to be my friend, specifically so we can go to my other friends and demand gift art from them because I got stuff. Mm-hmm. It got to the point where he did this weird parasocial thing where he tried guilting somebody to draw him free art because I got stuff, and he was like, aren't you a horrible person for not caring about your friends, as if acting as he had like a relationship with these people. It is disgusting. I hope Justin, I don't know, dies.
Okay.
Well, okay.
I hate him. I hate him a lot. And I hate him for the
fair.
things he's done.
But let's not wish the death upon people and get
I
my
hope he
fucking
stubs his
channel
toe.
fucking deleted.
All right, fine. I won't wish him death. I wish that his Twitter gets deleted. In Minecraft.
I hope he gets constipated.
I hope his computer dies.
In Denmark we have a thing where it's like, may his ass itch and his arms be too short.
May he never get free art from somebody ever again because he tries to guilt them for being my friend.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the worst. Oh, but you know your friend, and I'm like, so?
So it was weird because I only find this out because a friend comes to me crying feeling really guilty about all these things, and now like she can't draw art for this person. So I go around asking, what the hell is this guy doing? And he's like, no, he's like guilting everybody trying to draw him art behind the scenes. And like there was one time he tried he wanted somebody who doesn't draw like lewd stuff normally. He tried to get them to draw lewd art of their characters, especially of one of their characters who they specifically said, I don't want anything lewd of them drawn. So he tried pushing people on top of that. He's a really disgusting person. It is.
Yeah, there's so many people out there who are just like, oh, I want free work and I want what you don't want to do, and then I'm going to be mean about it because you don't want to do it.
Like, I'm gonna guilt you because how dare you not subsist to my fetish? How dare you have boundaries for your characters? I don't care if they're barely in high school. I want lewd stuff. And I'm like, the fuck?
Yeah, I've had people say, oh, are you going to age up your kid characters so you can use them in adult pieces? And I'm like,
no!
You do realize that I'm a parent, right?
I'm like...
That is so creepy, I am going to block you now.
I hope that they never have any presence on the internet. That, like, they die metaphorically to the point we never see them again. They could be alive and live their normal lives.
Just disappear.
But the internet, is just, no. Like Christian.
The Roblox character dies.
The Roblox. They oof.
They
hope that they oof.
They do the final oof. About this whole like free art thing, I don't really have like a lot of like people that I normally talk to who gets like this. Like the most active artist friend that I have is probably Zach, and he has like a fucking TOS thing at the size of like a fucking like workers permit or some shit. It is like huge. So he never ends up in those things because like he can just like point to that. But my experience with like free art is that sometimes when I was doing streams, I would like just like when something fun happened, I would like just go, oh, someone fucking draw that, just because like I thought it would be really like really fun. And then people actually started doing it, and then I started feeling really bad because they were like, you weren't actually supposed to put in real hours to do this thing. So I've stopped saying that now.
Well, but that's fine because like they're choosing to do that. You're not demanding it. I've had a friend who came up to me and literally just said, "Make me an ice weasel," and I'm like, absolutely done. And I spent 2 hours making them an ice weasel. And it's like, if it's hilarious and it's like, oh yeah, I'm inspired by that, and you do it, yeah, I mean, I didn't expect payment. And sometimes it's just like, yeah, that's a fun idea, I'm gonna do it now.
Yeah.
I think like Hayden and I talk about a lot of dumb shit to be drawn like in the middle of the night when it's like 12 a.m. for him and it's 12 p.m. for me. We just like go back and forth with stupid ideas. And then he draws it, and I'm like, you brilliant bastard, you didn't have to do this, but God bless you. And it's just dumb meme shit. And it's okay. But like, you're not going to go up to somebody and demand them to like lewd their child characters and be like fucking demanding, like you're owed this.
They try to guilt you too. It's amazing the kind of things that you did this for that person, or I thought you liked that. That was I will never get over that one. Oh, but I thought you liked drawing. Now it's just about the money. And I'm like, no, I still like drawing. I just want to get paid for it.
The entitlement is the thing. Is like that. It's how you can tell the difference between an actual person and scum.
Or a child. I just almost always assume that they're children.
I can't assume that they're children because they're usually asking for horrendous shit.
Well, I mean, like 16-year-olds is
That's
still a child.
They're still not. I mean, they're still not legal in the terms of like the law. But I'm just saying, they're still. You always run into like the weird entitlement for like the weirdest shit, like Chinese internment Arthur guy.
Yeah.
Could it be like they don't want a fucking paper trail to track back to them? They're like, oh, I can't pay with money. I can pay you crypto.
I was just going to say, like, oh, like, how will you accept this NFT for this horrendous piece?
Can I
Somebody's
pay
done
you
that,
in
though.
Save the Children coins?
Can I give you deviant art points? Like, what?
That's a thing?
It is a thing.
It is. Okay, I hate them, especially nowadays, because like I think they actually lowered the conversion rate. But it's like they used to be a thing where you can spend real money to make DeviantArt points on the site and then convert it back into money. It was like, you can think of that as its own crypto thing, but it was a way for like kids on DeviantArt to make money back in the day. Like they wouldn't do commissions for money. They do it for DeviantArt points.
Because they didn't have access to like a PayPal or something, so they'd have to.
Yeah. So it's like you can kind of consider it like the first crypto or one of the first cryptos in its own way.
Chat says it was shitty.
It was shitty.
It sounds like it actually, like the concept of it actually sounds pretty nifty.
Like you think it would be. It's just like the way it was handled was so shit. Because the first thing, like the point value was not the same. Like most people would ask for like 100 points for like a commission, but if you were to convert money into points, it would be like $1, like $5 is equal to 400 points. So that's 100 points out like gone to the ether.
So like, oh yeah, here's 100 points. I'm like, that's $1. No.
But that's less. But that's more than $1.
Just a little bit, but I don't remember what the conversion rate was, but whatever amount of points I remember them offering me, I did the conversion on. I'm like, so you want me to do you a fully colored picture for like $5? No. Yeah. And also, I didn't understand what the points meant very much. I'm like, I barely use DeviantArt.
The worst thing about like points conversion, because like I did say it like converts back into money. Every time you do a conversion, like DeviantArt takes a cut. So it's never 1-to-1. So if you say you spend $5 on a points conversion, you get 400 points. If you convert those points back, you have 400 points. You're not going to get $500 back. You're not going to get $5 back. You're going to get like $450 or something. So the conversions make no sense both ways.
Okay, so the idea was good, the execution was terrible, is what I'm getting.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was like GameStop credit. Gotcha.
Gotcha.
So, Amo, I think I have asked you this in private for poops and giggles, but I want to ask you it now, just because I think it would be fun to talk about. What is the hands down weirdest / creepiest / out of this world commission you have ever been asked to do?
I'm trying to think if it wasn't just that first one I mentioned. I think I got really clear really quickly, like, I will not do this, I will not do that, and then, oh no. Okay, yeah, there was one who wanted to use my character, and then they had their character, and I don't, sometimes I'm fine with that, like, oh, I've done that, and that's just fine for, like, oh, if you've seen it in my gallery, I'm fine with it. But he wanted them, like, pissing on them, and there was, like, a dude who's supposed to be in the background, who's like a guy they hated but liked my character, and he wanted to be tied up to a chair and like it was like some cuck stuff, but with he and my character. I'm like, why are you involving in your hate to this other dude? No. And also, if you like my character, why are you peeing? Oh, it's a dominant thing. No. No. And
if it's good enough for R. Kelly.
I mean, usually I don't get them too bad because I'm very cut in the I will not draw these things. And so they learn really quickly what I won't do. I'm like, if you don't see it in my gallery, I won't do it. I just won't. And no, that was probably the weirdest one because he had commissioned me before too. So I'm like, this is out of left field. And what went on between you and this dude? Like, why? I'm not doing your hate art and piss art. Ugh.
Like the whole like urination thing, that's one thing in and of itself, but the whole fucking part about like I want this person that I don't like to fucking cry while I do it. I was like, what? How?
Do you think they'll even care?
I don't call him a friend anymore, but like I knew a guy who has this weird mentality. He would make like hate fetish art of characters he hates. He had this whole thing on like Nagatoro before the anime and the manga came out. But like he made so much hate art of this person, but it was all fetishy sexual, and I'm like, what's your deal? Like, I knew there was something wrong with him. He turned out to be like a Nazi later on, so I'm like,
that explains it.
That explains it. But it's like, there's always something I don't understand about like hate fucking. It's just you have this mentality where you get attracted to something because you're just so pissed off. Yeah, probably.
But we saw that a lot in the brony community, or not necessarily when the My Little Pony got really popular. There was just a whole bunch of people who were drawing like hate art. Like they were just so mad that My Little Pony existed that they were just drawing a whole bunch of. It wasn't porn, but it was like very graphic. I've torn Twilight Sparkle to pieces, and here are intestines hanging out. I'm like, dude, you need help. Like it's a kids show, and you're so mad that other people like it that you've drawn some really graphic violence here. Seek help.
I mean, remember when we first opened. Sorry to interrupt you, just because it'd be quick, but I remember when we first opened the server and we had like the My Little Pony porn guy posting all over the channels.
Right.
I don't remember this.
This was like when this was like 2016, 2017.
It was way
when we
back.
first opened. It was like the first guy I banned on the server. I'll never forget him. He would post porn, like pony porn, in every channel.
Oh.
And it like I don't I don't remember this like I remember it's something about it, but like I don't remember it clearly. But one of the first comments we got on the podcast was also was a dude who I think was the same dude who was like, "Hey, are you finally gonna talk about this?" And I seem to recall that this person like was doing this earnestly. Like it wasn't like trolling or anything. It was like legit. Oh yeah, look at this.
Yeah.
And you do.
Maybe he just wanted to share.
Maybe.
It's like, I really like this thing, and you do you. Just I don't want to see it.
Yeah. Again, it's like the fucking golden rule. You do you. Do whatever the fuck you want as long as it's legal, but don't fucking jam it into my face. But about like the whole like killing My Little Ponies and stuff like that, I remember there is this animation. I think it's only something. There's some Flash animator who made like one where the Space Marines.
I've seen that one.
I know what you're talking about.
And they fight furries or something, and I think like that's fine because that's humor. That's not like. that's not like a hate drawing or anything. That's just fucking around.
Yes, I actually really like the. I've seen that one, and yeah, if you're just like having fun with it, go for it, man.
Yeah.
But when it's very clearly like, I hate these things, I'm gonna just make the like worst thing anybody's ever possibly seen. It's gonna look so accurate that you're gonna vomit. I'm like, dude, no. But yeah, that furry stuff. Oh, and like Team Furry Force is like,
oh yeah,
hilarious.
we actually one of the first merchandise things that we rolled out in the Webcast Relief that Hugo drew. Hugo actually, like, I just mentioned to him, kind of like, hey, would you be interested in like working on some merch designs? And he just bang, 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 like he just fired them out, and they were all fucking great. But in one of them was one of the only times that I have seen or been part of any like hate art to this degree, which is the one where it's, where I think I had written to Hugo going, can we take the whole keep calm and carry on thing, but then scratch it out and then have it be get mad and punch more in her whore mouth, and like it was just supposed to be text, and then Hugo, which is still the funniest thing to me, because if you ever talk with Hugo, he's one of the nicest, most wholesome people you will ever meet in your goddamn life. And then he draws this piece of fucking Mora hanging in a freezer, and I'm fucking punching her like it's fucking like
a meat freezer.
and then it's like that, and the whole Les Linders thing, and people have gotten on my shit being like, oh, Riiser, you're fucked up, and I'm like, I had nothing to do with this.
I will say though, that is still the funniest piece of art I've ever seen. As mean-spirited as it is, I will admit. Like, I still thought it was fucking well done and hilarious. As awful as it was. I still want a shirt though, but I know I'm never gonna get it now.
Yeah, we might as well just like fucking go fully behind the curtain. Someone from the Catbox Discord reached out to me and was like, hey, did you know that ItFox is actually trying to like in talks about suing you because of that shirt?
Oh.
And I'm like, pardon me, what the huh? And then we actually, like, I got someone from the Catbox to get me in contact with it, and I'm like, hi, what is going on? And he's like, yeah, I actually never meant to sue you. And then like I found the direct quote, and it's like, yeah, okay, listen, it's been a stressful couple of days. It's just we and then I don't recall if it was it or the person that got me into contact with it, but the person said that, yeah, it's just like we feel that art piece is very disrespectful against women or something. And I'm like, well, yes, have you checked out 1, 2, 3 all of your fucking comic pages?
Mm-hmm.
And so so they, like, even if they took me to court, which it thankfully never like ended up in, like they wouldn't have any case, because it's Mora and then the character Mora drawn completely in Hugo's very unique and creative style. It's like there's nothing here, but we took it. But like I told Ed, if you had just reached out and said, "Hey man, I really don't appreciate this whole thing being up there. Could you take it down?" I would, and then I was like, "Hey, do you want me to take it down?" And he was like, "Yes, please." And then we took it down. So that's why you can't get that shirt anymore. But like, it was wild.
Shit, I was gonna say something to. Oh, now I remember. Like, I couldn't even imagine how the hell that would work, because like, you're in fucking Denmark. You're in not only across the pond, you're in the middle of bumfuck Europe. So, and like everyone there is like American to my knowledge. So it's one, trying to get like the jurisdiction to figure this shit out is gonna be weird.
Yeah,
the expenses to fly you over. Or try you in Denmark.
Plus, it's Denmark. We don't give a. We made the infamous Muhammad drawings, if you remember that shit.
Oh yeah.
Like we don't give a fuck.
Oh Christ.
Yeah, and you can't really like be accountable. Like, oh no, that person in Amsterdam smoked pot. We should sue him. It's like, but it's legal there, so like you can't do anything about that.
The internet's a crazy place because it gives you a window into what's legal and what isn't legal all over the world. Because we're not uniform in that way. It's kind of fucky.
Speaking of Hugo Sard and Lasse Linders real quick, I still have immense amounts of respect for the man because of his creativity when it comes to what was it? Like the title cards for Lasse Linders, where it was like a progressive story that happened with each title card. That was his. Like I think I raised the idea at one point, but he was the one who actually went out and did it. And like I at no point during the creation of the Lasse Linders series did me and Hugo actually talk about how many pieces there were going to be. He just fucking figured it out as he went, and it's so interesting because at no point did it feel like, oh, you're just filling for time or rushing to the end.
Imagine if you kept going for three more, like 5 more parts.
Oh, we've actually talked about that. Because like the 100,000 subscriber milestone is that I return to Lasse Linders, and so like we were talking about like having something where I go back and piss in the ashes or something. But again, I leave that completely to Hugo because he's way too good.
No, that was a really cool thing. I actually, as much as I don't like hate art, that was pretty funny, and a nice little story.
Yeah. We wanted to do the same thing with Yosh, but then we found out, no, this is fucking boring. So we did it with Rascals as well.
I think the thing is, you can tell, when it comes to like art like that, you can always tell by intent by looking at it. Because like with the My Little Pony gore art, like you can tell there's there's something loose in that brain there, a little bit unhinged.
It just makes them irrationally angry.
Yeah. Whereas here, it's like it's graphic, it's awful, but it's also kind of taking the piss.
Yeah.
Because I don't get that from like. I feel like nobody, like everyone uses like Lasse Linders as like the punching bag in this server forever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To the point, it's like a literal dead cow.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like none of us are at a point where we just irrationally hate like the creators of the story. No, like none of us give a shit that hard.
I have been very, very open that if I ever had the chance, I would love nothing more than to sit down and have a beer with those people.
Well, and the images didn't feel mean-spirited. They just felt like they were trying to tell a funny story.
Yeah.
And give an idea of how this review was going.
I think it also says something because like it starts out with you like fixing the sign to Lasse Linders, and then it just goes to shit over time. It's also a metaphor for like what you felt the story was like, where it had a really promising beginning. There's a lot of good shit here if they just went a certain direction, and then it just makes you mad. You coined the term 1 step forward and a huge double backflip back.
Yeah,
some shit. And that's kind of what it kind of paralleled this comic itself.
And again, it is just like the hugest respect to Hugo for like coming, like managing to convey that in his minimalistic style.
Yeah, dude does great shit.
He does.
We should drag Hugo onto the podcast. Bro.
We should. But now we got Amocin.
We got Amocin. I'm gonna remember it's Amocin.
Yeah. It's Amocin.
Amocin.
I feel so bad because I have done that Patreon shout out so
I'm sorry.
many times.
I didn't want to say anything.
No, you should correct us. We're fucking stupid.
Yeah, now that you haven't said anything, that means I have a fucking backlog of like fucking 40 minutes.
It's fine.
Well, no. Now it's going to be even more fun because now we're going to say Amocin from now on.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm sorry. I'm not going to say anything because so many of my friends have done it too, and I'm like, I'm tired. No, they're just.
Listen, it's fine. Go ahead and correct us. We'll take it. If we slip up, feel free. It's fine. We love you a lot, Alma.
Thanks. I'm like, I just don't want to rock the boat. I'm fine.
No, it's fine. You got weirdos in your DMs asking for weird porn. You are entitled to rocking the boat. It's fine.
No, I just don't get like that, and it's actually saved me because there's people who were out there stealing my Patreon stuff, and I guess one of my fans went in there and tried to like yell at them, and they're like, "You're not ammo," and he was like balls to the wall, being completely rude. I'm like, "Oh no, they're gonna think that's me, and I'm not like that." But no, even like the trolls are like, "That's not her. She wouldn't talk to us like that."
She wouldn't.
You talked to me about like having some really, really weird people like censored around your comic. I remember that was not a stalker, but you had someone who was like very how to put it? Like he would comment on.
I would say stalker.
Yeah, like he would comment on every comic strip. And can you do you want to like get into that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I actually have all of his comments that I've deleted saved on my computer somewhere. And he just repeated the same thing over and over and over again. There was something bad happened to the character he liked, and he went on a rampage over all the other characters. And on like, oh, I want this character to die now because they disrespected her, and it's just like it went crazy, and he got racist, and was just it was so strange, because he commented every single page, and nothing changed about the comment really, because he was just repeating and regurgitating the same thing over and over and over again. I hope this character dies, that old haybag. And it got to the point where even like my fans are like, is this guy serious? Can you give it up already, dude? And near the end, we were like near the last 50 or so pages, and I'm like, I'm going to stop deleting his comments. I'm just going to let this run its course. And yeah, the actual fans are like, dude, what is wrong with you? He's like, oh no, it's like the villain is her soulmate and she needs to be with him. And they're like, you mean the guy who like literally let her son have bad things happen to him? And he's like, yeah, she just belongs with him. I'm like, dude, you need help if you think that this is where this story should be going. But yeah, he wanted the villain with the main female protagonist because apparently they were true loves. And I'm like, at nowhere in this story have I shown that's how this story is going. This guy is bad. I made him do bad things so that there was no question that he was bad. But you still think that he's going to end up with the protagonist at the end? No. And yeah, it was every single page. He wanted certain characters to die, and it was the strangest thing. But he always had a certain way of writing that I knew it was him, because he always referred to people by their relationship to the character he liked. So he would say, oh, and her, so it would be, and I'm like, this has got to be like a cultural thing from wherever the hell he's from. Like, oh, and her step sister Ammo, and her father Kutek, and her brother Shai. And I'm like, every time it was character's name followed by their relationship to the main character. It was weird as heck.
Was it like Jimmy, son of Kevin? Like,
yes, it was.
What the fuck? Like, very old. Like, that's a fucking.
We have 4.
That's a step away from like the Norvig, like Jornstottir, like, because it's the daughter of Jorn. Like,
Yeah, and it was so weird because it's like we're 400 pages in here. Everybody knows who everybody is and what their relationship is to everybody else. Like, get off of it, dude.
This is some weird LARP shipping bullshit.
Well, and then he would like, there was one case where he had said something and it set everybody else off. They were like mad about it. I'm like, no, so long as they kept it civil, I let it continue. When they started name calling, that's when I stepped in. I'm like, hey, I know this guy is a little hard to handle, but let's not be rude to him. And everybody's trying to like explain to him how he was wrong and maybe try to help him a bit. And then he like jumped on a different name and started acting like a different person. Like, no, I'm his friend and you guys are wrong. And I'm like, no, you're the same dude. No, nobody would agree with you on this particular subject. Stop it. We all know it's you.
You can make 100 accounts so we'd all know you're all full of shit.
Listen, all I'm saying is that stomping on babies is the raddest shit ever.
It was definitely a lovely time, and it's like, oh, I want this character to die because she deserves it, and I'm like, oh, this is not going to end the way you like it. I was talking to my mods about like, oh, this is what's going to happen. How do you think he's going to react? And so we were just laughing at it the whole time. And there was one character he did want to die, and she did die because I had planned it for forever. And he's like, yes, thank you for listening to me. And I'm like, oh, God, I want to say something, but I can't.
Like, I would have brought them back out of spite.
I almost did. Hey,
did you know that druids in Warcraft can resurrect? Come on, let's go.
I was just like so mad about it. I'm like, oh, don't. He was just happy.
He would win if he lost, though. That's the thing.
In the end, like everything he wanted to happen because he made it no secret how he wanted the story to go. And like, I couldn't wait for him to just blow up. I was like, he's going to blow up any moment now because nothing is happening the way he wants it to. And I just wonder what. He kind of did, and then he kind of like petered out. I hope he didn't go and hurt himself. Like he was.
Oh, he was that far gone.
He was weirdly obsessed with the comic. I don't think he ever mentioned hurting himself, but the fact that he petered out the way he did, I'm like, ugh, God, is he on his way to my house? Like,
Maybe the computer's in the bath right now. He erased his hard drive when he realized that, you know what, I will not be obsessed anymore, and I'll change my life for the better.
Well, I started to speculate, like, why is he acting like this? And I think maybe he like reads a lot of those fan fictions, not actual books or published things, but fan fictions and there's been many comics that have been covered or like this, like where it's their own self-indulgent fantasy, like, oh, all my bullies in high school, they get their comeuppance. And he had that kind of mentality where the way he wanted things to go is how they would go because that would make him feel better. And nothing bad should ever happen to anybody he likes because, that's generally what we want, but that's not how you make a good story if everything was happy all the time.
No.
So, yeah, he was just a little. He did not have access to enough content to understand that this is not how stories work.
Did he follow you over to your new comic?
No, actually, I've seen a decrease in comments, but I think that's because everybody's on Patreon, so they see it there first, and nobody wants to comment there yet. But also, there's not enough to say yet. Because near the end of at least Druids, there was a lot to say, like, oh, we found out that this happened, and so they were all excited about that. And I mean, we're still on page 10 has been released, and 15 towards, I think, the other people.
So, in a way, there's still a chance for this person to make their epic comeback from the dead.
Who is his new
Maybe.
wife?
It's like,
maybe.
Oh, imagine like they do the fan thing where it's like, okay, I know you're doing an entirely new work, but what if we start making connections between this and Druids? This is her reincarnation.
Oh my dude, I've seen fucking people who are. Have you ever seen the fucking Star Wars fandom with like
Yes.
the people who simp for Rey, and it's like,
oh no,
oh my god, Rey should be with this character, and I am dead fucking certain that a Molotov cocktail has been thrown in the name of Rey and whoever the fuck. These people are
Low.
these people are insane.
the Raylos,
The real
Yeah, probably.
the Kylo and Rey people are. No, some of them, like, I think I heard that somebody was like, oh, maybe she's pregnant with this baby. I'm like, what? When did they ever get together like that? And also, no, she needs to run as far away from him as possible. Like, he started out the third movie killing people. And I'm like, oh, yeah, we're going to totally do a redemption arc here.
Aren't they tangentially related?
No. Oh.
I mean, before
No.
we knew. Oh, yeah, because of the Palpatine or some shit.
Yeah, because she's Palpatine and he's Skywalker, and they weren't ever related, but it's still stupid. It's just stupid. But they are so willing, to defend it to the death.
I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. I always get skeeved out whenever somebody unironically calls someone an auntie. After,
I don't even recall what that means.
Yeah, I don't.
So what I found out, anti specifically means anti-shipping. It doesn't mean you're a contrarian. It just means you don't like shipping. If you're an anti.
So like that you don't want anyone to get together with anyone.
That is what they think anti means. Yes, it is this weird thing where we've all been in the Wild West. We all know that one specific Rilo who was in there at the time.
Oh yes.
Mm-hmm.
And she was very vocal about how she believed that shipping was this important, and that you dare question it, you will get a whole essay about why you're an awful human being and deserve toaster bath. It is skeevy. I'm willing to say shipping is fine, it's alright, it's harmless. But when you do that shit, that's not okay. It's not ever okay. And
I think I remember that person slightly, and I'm like, I'm gonna take a break from Discord for a bit.
Yeah, I banned them recently because they got into an argument over Raylo and started shitting on the members.
I don't understand how people get so crazy about that.
It's
you don't
not even
agree
that
with my
good a
ship,
story.
yeah. I don't even understand it. These aren't even your characters. Why are you defending them so hard? And gee, I don't want to give spoilers for Loki, but I don't agree with the relationship that's going on there because of certain implications, and also you do the male-female reverse, and it's had it been the dude who did that to her, that would be wholly unacceptable. Mm-hmm. So it's I don't agree with that relationship for personal reasons, but hey, if people want to draw art of it, go, you do you, man. But don't get there and say you don't agree with me. I hate you now.
The ones who will draw death threats because you don't like Raylo are disturbing, and they're the ones saying antis are the ones with fucking issues.
No, yeah, there's some crazy people out there. Fandoms are just crazy. Anybody who attaches themselves to one story and they're this is it. This is the magnum opus. You just stay away from those kind of people.
It was this episode of American Dad I think about all the time when we talk about fandoms, where if it was the first time Stan listens to music, and he's obsessed with this one band, and when his daughter fucking tries to say, hey, you'll like this band too, and he calls her a slut and punches her in the face because how dare you not listen to this one band and only this one band. And I think that's what fans go through when they have this weird fucking mentality. It's I'm gonna stay true and loyal to this one concept and to nothing else. Even if it doesn't, even if that's not what's happening, I believe it's what's happening, it's what's gonna be it. If you want to, expand this probably goes out to, all sorts of
it goes to all of them.
Yeah.
Well, it reminds me of, the old high school, oh, my boy band is better than your boy band.
Oh, yeah.
Was that a thing?
It was, yeah, what was it? NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, 98 Degrees, and there was one other. But yeah, there was like...
What did 98 Degrees do?
But...
What like, songs did they make?
98 Degrees, they did some of the Mulan soundtrack from the original cartoon, and I can't remember much what else that they've done, but I remember that they did that, and they got Stevie Wonder in on that too. But mostly the biggest thing was between like NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. It's like, oh, you could only like one of those bands. Maybe this is just a girl thing. I don't know. But you couldn't like both. You had to choose a side.
You couldn't just like live and enjoy shit. You gotta like die for your boys.
Team Edward.
Oh yeah, Team Edward and Team Jacob was the fucking nutsest. But like the only like fights I've seen like that was there was Team Harry Potter and Team Lord of the Rings. And
I haven't even seen that one.
Team Pokemon and Team Digimon.
Why can't we just like both?
Yeah, I don't know.
Just like both. Like you got this like weird division where it's like you don't have to be. Like, I honestly feel some people just want to die on a hill for something, so they attach themselves to like some sort of concept to make them feel whole about it.
It seems so irrational to me. Like I remember,
it is incredibly irrational.
Like I remember when Twilight came out, and then there was like a girl, because I was looking up stuff for the book series that I was reading, which was True Blood, before it became an HBO show, and there was just like a video of a girl who was like, "Oh, Twilight is the best, and this True Blood stuff is so stupid," and blah. And I'm like, but she said it in such a way, I'm like, have you even read it? Like, I think that you're just mad because it's another vampire book that exists. And it's an immature mentality. I'm like, that's the only way we can combat this. Go, wow, that's very immature of you.
You know what? I'm actually gonna hold my tongue. I'm sorry.
I still like that the chat goes like Pirates versus Ninjas was also a thing, but I remember there was this whole thing.
But that sounded funny.
Who were the best? The samurais, the knights, or the Vikings? And that was like a whole fucking thing. And then they made a fucking video game out of it, and it's called For Honor.
I'm still waiting for like my goddamn Aztec fighters.
Dude, play Mortal Kombat. You get to fucking kill people with totems, like. I remember dealing with something like that in college doing animation. My class was full of very shitty Steven Universe fans who hate you if you didn't even know the show exists. I was on the receiving end of that as well, because I was like, you know what? I actually don't like Steven Universe. I don't think it's that well written, but you know, if you like it,
like someone tried to sell it to you with like the worst pitch I've ever heard.
Yeah, that is like I'm still teasing him about that to this day, but it's like I watched 1 or 2 seasons. I don't fucking remember. And I was like,
you got up to like the first season when Lapis came down.
How many episodes a season were there? Because I would have sworn I watched like 30 episodes or something.
There was like 24 episodes, I think. Like I remember, like you got to Lapis and you stopped entirely, and I was like, that's fair, because like the first season was like super filler, and then it got to the anime beats at the end of the series. I'm like, ugh.
It was just so weird because it always felt like, hey, here is a thing, and then Steven does a dumb thing, and then bad shit happens, and then we make a bunch of jokes on the behest that the fat kid likes food. Instead of encouraging a more healthy lifestyle, and then he solves the issue through magic and friendship, and the end. And it's just like, how the fuck have people flip out this much about this thing?
The answer is like subtext, and I feel like the issue with subtext is like people Steven Universe did this a lot of things in the show where nothing was ever fucking told face forward. You always had to look under the surface because everything was like dredged under layers of symbolism. And we didn't, and the worst part is we didn't know, a lot of these things were not as like obvious on first. And there were things that were either retconned or like quote unquote explained further on in the series. Like it was, I hate it. I hate it a lot because like it made me. There were so many layers onto the show where you were like, is there really anything in there? But then they like put something in there later in the show. Everything's so vague, it can mean something else. But because it's so writing. Yes, because everything's so fucking vague, you can ascribe your own fucking meaning to it. And that's always been my issue with subtext when you read between the lines in a show. Because when you're forced to do that, you're forced to like make your own meaning. And obviously you're gonna think your meaning's the best interpretation out of everyone else. So not only you find the people who aren't paying attention to the show, you're fighting other people's interpretations. And it's just fucking obnoxious.
I don't know. Like, I actually kind of like that sometimes. Where, like, especially being as huge a fan of horror as I am, I always like I've said it many times before, but like the reason why Slenderman worked was because like you didn't know like what does he actually do to you, and then like you kind of fill in the blanks with what you fear the most. And like I feel that was really like that you can make a more personal story by leaving gaps in it, but it shouldn't be like plot vital stuff. I feel
it's. I'm sorry if we're talking over you, Amo, just because like we're.
No, it's fine. I'm staying out of the Steven Universe conversation.
like I'm just. My issue is just because it kind of like breeds this whole mentality within fandoms, because you already have people who are willing to like attach themselves to a property and ascribe their own meanings and their own shipping, and like will fight you to the death over Raylo shit.
Mm-hmm.
And now you put in a show where it's a lot about subtext, and it asks you to interpret the meanings of the show, to look behind the veil and to guess it. And you're not going to get like answers to it or any clear-cut answers for like hundreds of episodes. You're just stuck with all the subtext, and when you have nothing but your own theories, eventually you're going to just believe them that they're true. To the point where even if that wasn't the creator's intent and you're way off base, you're going to fight the fucking creators over it.
Mm.
I've even had people fight me on like my stuff, and I'm like a nobody, and they're like, "Did you just say like?" He's like, "Oh, that's not how he felt or did anything," and I'm like, and somebody's like, "Did you just tell the writer how her own character feels?" And they do that all the time. Yeah, like I think they know how they feel or why the character did what they did. And
yeah.
These people get so rabid, they're like, no, I'm going to fight them on it.
It's one of those things where it's like kind of like Alma brings up a good point. Like this, like she, like I don't like you probably have your own good example of like subtext. You like keep some things mysterious and then you like reveal them later. Because that's just how stories work.
Yeah.
Like you have people fighting her in her fucking comments when things are pretty like standard, when it's all out in the open, when things are pretty clear cut. When things are when the writers are demanding you to fill in the blanks for them, and people do, they'll fight you for those details they came up with.
Yeah.
It's headcanon or whatever.
Headcanon, yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, I've had people fight me on headcanons for like, wow. And I'm like, no, I researched that. There is no canon for it. They're like, yeah, but I'm right and you're wrong. And I'm like, oh, it was left to interpretation, but okay, if that's how you feel.
Like, I'm not saying having open stories is a bad thing, but I'm saying you get what you pay for, because you're asking people to come up with their own interpretations, and they're going to do that. And if you disagree with them, tough shit. That's what you got. That's what you're gonna get.
Yeah, I remember way back when there was this game called Firewatch that came out, and it was it's about like a dude who starts working in in a forest, and like his entire thing is just like to make sure that a controlled burn in the forest works out fine. And his wife recently died of cancer, and then he starts talking over the walkie-talkie with a girl who's in a different outpost. And it's just like this very personal drama. By the way, I'm going to spoil it real quick. Now, in the game, there is a whole thing of like, there's a one point where you're out of your tower and you're just talking with this chick who apparently has been able to see you with her binoculars in the tower every time that you talk. And then once you're out, she's like, "Oh, did you finally get back?" And you're like, "No." And she's like, "Then who is the one in your tower?" And then it's like, oh, mystery. And you start finding like debris that might be alien in nature, and and there's like this whole thing about like maybe it's the government who's out here experimenting, and it makes you make all of these really, really interesting theories, and then it just turns out, oh, it's just some fucking crazy dude who lives up in the mountains. This has nothing to do with neither the government nor aliens nor anything paranormal in nature whatsoever. And it's one of those things where I think it's like fine to sometimes make the audience start questioning and make up their own theories, but I feel that if you're ever gonna fucking pay out on that, the thing you need to make has to be as interesting or more interesting than what people came up with. Because if it's just like, no, it's just Kevin, it's like, oh.
Well, now I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the moral they were trying to go for.
Yeah. It's the character. Oh, yeah. Like, Alice actually brings up a great point. Did any of you ever watch Legend of Korra?
Yes.
I stopped after the first season.
Okay, but you did. But
I don't mind. I know a lot of things. Yeah,
but you did watch the first season.
Yeah.
Yeah. So spoiler for that. So you have what's his name? Amon, the guy with the mask. Yeah. And he comes in and it's like, oh, he's wearing a mask. Who the fuck is this guy? And you're like, oh my god, like there's all this mystery and intrigue, and then he finally pulls off his mask, and it's this guy. This guy. Like it's not, his face is not disfigured, or a reveal of a character that you know. It's just hey, here's Jim, and like, what the fuck? Like, I made up billions of theories about who this could be, and it's just a nothing burger.
Nothing.
Well, and then his story just like petered out, like just gone poof.
Yeah,
we're just gonna blow up on a boat.
Yep.
To be fair, that was pretty cool.
It was pretty cool, but it's like,
for somebody who was built up, it was just such a disappointment.
Yeah, like here's a guy who
Korra didn't finish him off though.
No,
like you would have expected some weird emotional payoff for when he takes off the mask. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna go off and like I'll live my life, and now I'm gonna blow up on a boat.
He fucking left on a boat going, "You didn't win. You didn't win. You didn't win."
Yeah, like.
That whole series is a disappointment.
Yeah, I'm not. To be fair, I wasn't a fan of Korra in the beginning because like there was just way too much. Who's she gonna end up with? Is he gonna go with this guy who's an asshole? This guy who's kind of sweet, and then it's like nobody. Like, are we gonna queer bait? No, Nickelodeon's not gonna let us. Okay.
Oh no, they're just gonna show it in the last 2 seconds of the show.
We're gonna like vaguely imply.
Oh, and then we're gonna say something on Twitter that that's what we meant.
Which is like, I guess if you want to blame the studio execs, go ahead. But it's like, I don't like shit. Like,
it has no integrity.
Exactly.
I will say, like, massive kudos to the fight choreography of that show, and Zelda Williams, who voiced that one character, did a banging good job for it being one of her first like voice acting gigs in the ever. That was. I will never take away from the show stylistically because animation wise it is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but again it's the writing that took me out of it.
And also, did any of you ever see the Whiplash dub of what's his name? The old dude with the beard.
Tenzin.
Yeah, so someone took. Oh, I forget what's the actor's name. The guy who voiced him. He also voices Omni-Man.
Simmons?
Yeah. So they got him from J.K. Simmons. They got him from the movie Whiplash, where he's just like screaming at people and like, "Why the fuck did you?" And then they like put that in over his lines, and it is the funniest shit. Like, there's one point where one of his children is like looking at him like through the corner of the door, and they just take the line from Whiplash where he's like screaming, "I can still fucking see you, mini me!" And the child is like, it's very. I can still to this. I watched that a billion times. I can still just like hard cry laugh when I see that.
I'm gonna have to look that up now.
I'm gonna look that up later. Should put in the description of the podcast. So that's gonna be some good things. Thank Cora. But yeah, like I think like the way to like solve this conversation, it's like don't get too attached to like a property that isn't fucking yours. What the fuck you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, don't argue with the writer of our own fucking comic about what your interpretation is versus what's actually going on.
That is still the fucking what. I mentioned it in passing earlier, but I remember when MatPat did that with Five Nights at Freddy's, where it's like, "Hey Scott, you might have created it, but you were wrong." And it's like the fucking audacity.
How?
Remember, I still think about that because. I like to think that the whole reason it came up because like a lot of the things that happened in Five Nights at Freddy's was made specifically just to fuck with MatPat and tell him his theories were wrong.
Or even like I wonder if he'd like change it. He's like, "No, that's how I was gonna do it, and now I'm going to change it."
Just to fuck with him.
Yes.
I think he's like off the series now. He like retired with all of his like Freddy money. So,
and you know what? Good on him. Like,
Leon, no.
And walk.
Oh, I'm sorry, my baby was crying.
Oh.
He's very possessive over a particular blanket, so when the other kids touch it, he starts yelling at them.
I feel that.
Yeah. You also have like your favorite blanket that no one is allowed to touch.
It's pink with elephants on it.
There you go.
But fucking yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's is silly. So the fact that it went so far with like just adding on lore and pieces of the puzzle, and it's like I feel like when you're trying to make theories for that, it's always a losing battle because there's always something to the side you don't know that could be added in to change everything entirely.
Well, yeah, because he started it. He just did it as like a one-off game, so I mean. He probably didn't have a lot of this planned out.
No, he didn't. Like,
so
I think like he made like a whole subset of books to like explain one specific plot hole, supposedly. Like I only watched like a video of this like a while ago because I had morbid curiosity, but like a lot of the stories are just they're supposed to tie it back to a certain theme and like vaguely give you just enough so you can come up with the speculation. But he'll never outright say what is definitive or isn't. And I feel like storytelling like that is infuriating. But I feel like if that's what you're into, go ahead. But at the same time, if you don't like the answer you're going to get, that's just what's going to happen.
I still feel like it was like... I wish that Five Nights at Freddy's had stopped at like the first game. Because in that game it was like very much up in the air, like what the fuck is actually going on, and you could like kind of piece it together, and that was like part of the experience of like piecing it together and like getting somewhat of a cohesive story. But then like it would throw you for a loop because then like the secret bonus ending would have like what sounded like demonic screeching and shit, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I thought like that whole like confusion was really interesting, and but then the more you played, the more you got answered, and the more answers I got, the less interested I was. Like that's, I feel like that's why. Hey, guess what? Riiser's gonna jerk off Kojima a little bit more, but I feel like that's why PT was such a massive success, because it's just like, hey, what the fuck actually happened in this house? You don't know. I don't know. but there's
mushrooms.
Probably, but like there's a bajillion like theories you can deduce from like nitpicking here and looking into this and analyzing that, and we are still talking about a demo today.
Like, because it's never gonna come out as a full game, Lasse, don't you know? Konami put the kibosh on it.
Yeah, I know, but it like that doesn't take away from the fact that we're still like heralding like this demo as we are today.
I wish we could play it.
Yeah.
Remember when people thought PT was what's that latest game that came out with Ladderman? I forgot it.
Ladderman?
The guy with the ladder walks around with the baby.
Oh,
Norman Reedus and the Funky Fetus. Thank you. Yeah, people thought that was PT for a while.
Yeah, you remind me. I need to send you a link of someone theory crafting that that Death Stranding was Metal Gear Zero. That is full on tinfoil hat bullshit.
But like that's kind of what you get when you have like interpretation stuff like that.
Yeah. But just real quick, just because we can always talk about this shit some other time, but now that we finally have a guest, I actually want to talk about some stuff that is like specifically pertaining to you, Mo. Because I'm not in the webcomic creation scene, so I'm actually kind of curious, like how is it like being a mother and working on a comic? Like, how is it to juggle like taking care of children and a comic, and then like at the same time doing it with your husband? Like, how is that?
I don't sleep very well.
Oh.
It's so like anytime that I've had to explain this to my husband because he's not an artist and I have to like over explain myself, and he's like, why aren't you doing work right now? And I'm like, because the kids are bugging me every 5 minutes and I can't sit down and draw something for 2 minutes and then get distracted. It's very, no, I need to just work on it. So I don't work until the kids go to bed, and then I can like just be free to just stay in the mode. But it's difficult, that's for sure. I sometimes wonder like how much easier it would be if like I started the comic before I had kids, and you know, how I could just focus on things. But I can't. So it's a constant like, hey, you know, the little one's down for a nap. You guys go upstairs and play. I'm gonna try to get some work done. And yet every 5 minutes, mom, and I'm like, you know, you have a dad. Go to him. Give me 10 minutes. Just to get something done, and it's definitely difficult. My husband does help where he can, but you know, he works from home now too because of the pandemic, and he's usually in a meeting, and he's helped relieve the stress of a lot of things like answering emails, and he handles all of my Patreon stuff, and so he's taken off as much pressure from me as possible so I can just focus on the art. But you know, obviously I can't ignore my kids for the sake of art, so we go out and do things. But, you know, the kids wake up at 7 a.m., and I was up until 2 a.m. drawing, so I only got 5 hours of sleep, except for on the weekends where I get to sleep in a little bit. So it's a balancing act that I'm still figuring out.
Yeah, I can imagine. But, like, so, I'm going to put you a little on the spot now.
Okay.
So get ready. How do you deal with drawing adult comics like that? Like, with your children like walking around, do they have just free access to look at your computer and see?
They do, but I don't draw anything that is like that until after they're in bed.
Okay.
So it's not. Yeah, I don't want them coming over and like, what are you doing? And I'm like, nothing. No. Because the moment you do pull up something like that is the moment they come running in. So, it's just like, no, I'm just going to do it at night, and then we're not going to have any issues. Because they go to bed fairly early. They go to, so they go to bed at about 8, and they don't get up until 7. And sometimes, there's an issue where they get up in the middle of the night and need some water. But, man, I can hear them coming a mile away. especially at night when there's no other sounds in the house. So I really just do it. I just draw those portions at night, and then anything that's not relating to adult stuff I can draw during the day. So I'm like, well, I guess I'm not working on that. I'll work on the thing that's clean.
Okay. So it's very akin to being a teenager with adult stuff, where you have an ear to the door. You make sure that no one is coming around to see what's going on.
Close all the blinds.
Yeah, exactly. Did we lose Cloudy?
He's on mute.
I have nothing really to add to the conversation.
Oh, okay.
Like I am, but like I was just chuckling to myself in the background. I forgot I was muted.
Oh,
but no, like I don't got much to say because I can just imagine how rough it'd be just to work when you have like kids running around. Because I can imagine like you're still in you're like doing this in the middle of the night, and then your kid comes into your room or your office like, "Mom, I'm tired and sleepy. Come to bed with me," or some shit like that.
Yeah, it's like, okay, hold on, they usually don't ask me to lay down with them, but like a couple of nights ago, one of them had a nightmare, and I'm like, oh, well, I try to get them to explain their nightmares to me so I can kind of help comfort them in an appropriate way, depending on what, like, oh, I had a nightmare that you died. And I'm like, dude, that is something that you might have to deal with one day, but let's address it. We try to put it straight to them. We don't try to hide it from him. But if he's like, oh, you got eaten by a zombie, I'm like, okay, so zombies don't exist. So it's a fake thing.
Sense. We have people who play World of Warcraft and found zombies.
but yeah, they've had like real concerns before that have kept them up at night, and we try our best to like explain them to them in a kind way. But like, you know, in the example of like, Mom, you're gonna die, and I'm like, well, maybe not for a very long time. So let's not worry about that right now. Let's just live in the now. So, which is one thing that one of my sons has a problem with. He focuses too much on bad things because he's very fearful and timid. And we're like, oh no, that's not going to be a problem. And let's just try to comfort you as best as we can. And he sleeps on the couch quite a few times just because he stays up in his own headspace too much.
Ah. Okay.
But we try to do our best in the most kid-friendly way possible. Like, we're not about to explain anything they can't handle.
I do appreciate the sheer honesty, like because like you're gonna have to talk at some point. Like you gotta. Yeah, and I actually a funny story. So my son, he now has 2 pet rats. He saved up all of his money for it. He bought them. He bought the cage, and he loves them. But he knows that one day they will die and how short their life is. And I try to impress upon him, they have short lives. Make them good ones. Every day that you ignore them or whatever is like a couple years to them. So just, you know, spend time with them. Because one day they're not going to be here. My mom had an alternative route to that where my little sister had a mouse. And a mouse died. Instead of telling her that it died, she went out and bought another mouse. Oh, no.
Oh.
So, here's the problem with that. My mom didn't really pay attention to the mouse and what it looked like. The first one was white. The second one was albino. So, my sister gets home, goes and plays with her mouse, and then freaks out because she's like, oh my God, my mouse there's something wrong with his eyes. And my mom, in order to save herself, is like, oh no, he's just gone through mouse puberty.
Mouse.
And so that one dies, and she's like, no, he ran away on an adventure. We'll find him one day. And then like 2 years later, my sister's like, I want him to come home. I miss him very much. She gets him a hamster, and she's like, well, where's his tail? She's like, oh, he lost it in his adventures. And I'm like, Mom, stop lying to this poor child. Now she's going to think that mice go through rat puberty or whatever and get pink eyes, and that they go on adventures where they can lose their tail, but they'll come back one day. Like, just tell her the truth.
Oh my God, this is like a lie that just keeps on going.
It sounds like a storyline in Rats of Nim.
but I'm like, Jesus, just tell her it died. Just that way she can just sit there and appreciate that these are precious little lives and we need to take care of them. And
that's hilarious, though.
That's a bit amazing, I'm not gonna lie.
It's like, man, so many hoops. I'm like, what if he accidentally like had a spot somewhere and she didn't know? I'm like, you can't keep this up, woman. It's gonna fail eventually.
I was about to be like, I really appreciate the whole thing of like, hey, mice have short lifespan, so you have to like love them and make sure that every day is like worth something and make the best out of every day, because like that's something that you can like transfer into like your own life or other people's life and stuff like that, and then it's all of a sudden, no, I have the puberty and pink eye.
Yeah. But yeah, and I just like we definitely do like rat time every single day. So it's like, just spend time with your pets, but they will die. I'm not going to lie to you, and it's going to be hard. And that day will eventually come. And like my sons were around for when both of my cats died, but they were so young that there was no like they couldn't attach what was happening. Like one of my sons was like, is the cat coming back from the vet yet? And I had to explain multiple times, no, she's gone. She's not coming back. And he just couldn't grasp it yet. So now they're at an age where they can grasp those things and understand them. But I was asked for like at least 2 years straight when the cat is coming back from the vet. I'm like, she's not. Yeah, it's a tough thing to handle, but I definitely don't think parents should lie to their children about anything. Sometimes it's better just to say, honey, you're not going to understand it right now. Let's just move on and understand that this is the way it is. But when they can, explain it to them. Stop the lies. It's not helping anybody.
You'll have
just
to
tell them they're not ready for it. Yeah, you have to explain it at some point, and then is your kid going to feel betrayed? Like, but you lied to me, and you don't know what kind of damage you're doing in lying to them. You're not helping them. So yeah, mom and everybody will eventually die, but not for a very long time if we can help it. Best thing we can do is stay safe. And not do stupid things, which I have 3 boys. That's good. There's going to be a lot of stupid things in my house very soon.
So I guess it's going to have to come to the point that I guess this is going to have to come eventually, but how are you going to explain to your kids that you do this stuff?
That it's just art? Now. That if they ever bring it up, but to me, it's like, nobody asks these things of writers. Like Neil Gaiman writes adult stuff in his books, and nobody goes, that's pornographic. No, they just like, oh no, that's just part of the story. But, when it's drawn, it becomes a totally different thing. And I'm like, it's just, if you make it part of the story, which I tried to do, then it's like, oh, well, this has a feasible meaning. To me, it's just lines on a paper, and I try to keep it as vanilla as possible. But they really don't need to know that. They know that I'm an artist, and sometimes they get me to draw them things that they can then color in, and we work on stories together. Yeah, so they know I'm an artist, and they know that I work on comics and all these other things. And, we just have fun with it. Like, I've painted on their walls. Like, my oldest has Paw Patrol now all over his walls. And then my second one has the dinosaurs from Jurassic World on there. So they know what I do. They just don't know to the extent. And I don't think they ever will, because they're probably just not interested. They're like, oh, well, we know what mommy draws. We don't need to inquire further.
Yeah. Well, so, it actually, like, you bring up, like, an interesting point about, like, how, like, the adult stuff is just a part of, like, the story. And then, and I remember, like, I've been reading through Druids a few times, and it's one of those things where, like, I look at that, and then I look at the comic that I covered, Rock Cocks, where it is actually like an interesting distinction, because like as you say, yours is like sex happens, and sometimes it's there's more than a little of it, but but like it all like typically serves a point. It's typically like it's because like these people are so much in love, so they share a moment of closeness and whatever. But then you then you compare that to rock cocks, where it's just like, we're now gonna take the plot and put it in a little box over here, so we can see this, so we can show this chick getting double fisted. And it's like, was that a conscious decision to make it like just as part of the story, or was it just like, I never actually thought about it, I just, like it just felt like that was the natural progression?
Yeah, there's certainly times where it seems unnecessary. Like, I like to use it to establish relationships. Like, this is how this relationship is, or whatever. But there were like sometimes in very serious moments where people are like, "Hey, when is the next porn part going to be?" And I'm like, "Do you not understand that there's no time for that right now? We've missed that opportunity here." But they're like, "Oh, we're just going to drop like two people making out in this barn because I guess we need some boobs."
Yeah, gotta keep people interested.
Like, no, that seems so weird. Like, the world is not that horny. I don't.
Okay, I think it very much
I am not
circles.
Okay, people and groups, yes, but I'm not going to walk down the street and then somehow like there's obviously some people in the bushes doing it around every corner. Like, it's not that frequently you come in contact with people who are just screwing out in the middle of nowhere.
That's true. I'm looking at the time, and we have been going for a while, so I think it's about time that we cover the big topic.
The thing.
And so I would like to extend to you, Amo, and then you, Cloudy. Where were you when it got revealed that Christian had raped his elderly mother?
I was ahead in my work and having a good time, and then I was like, I'll take a break. I'll look at Discord. Why did I do that? I'm like, what?
If I remember correctly, I was actually talking to my who the fuck, my recruiter, because I'm supposed to be working at the end of the month, and we were just doing paperwork trying to like we were doing paperwork to like just like sign on. I had to sign my I-9. It was a lot of dumb basic shit, and I was like downstairs in my brother's living room, where he has his 12 cats around his fucking apartment, and we were just trying to get this printer to work. I was like, hey, they sent me this PDF. I don't know why I have to print this out and get you to sign this. And it was just boring technical difficulty stuff. And then like, I'm flipping through my phone, waiting for my brother to send the next print attempt, and I see Chris Chan trending on Twitter. I saw in the morning what happened in the Wild West at like 5 a.m. in the morning, and I'm like, oh Jesus, that's kind of fucky. But then it's around noon, and I see Chris Chan's on Twitter, and people who've never heard of him starting to pick up on him. What? And then the hashtag Chris Chan did what starts going. And I'm like, oh my god, it's released. Everyone knows now.
So, I think I have you beat in terms of like an awkward moment, because like I was on a quote unquote date, and I think we were sitting eating dinner or whatever, and I have like my phone like off to the side, and then it just starts going, like I just start getting bombarded with messages, and she's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "I don't know." Like, is my family sick or something? And like, open
Did
it
somebody
up.
Die?
Yeah, and I just like open up my phone, and I apparently just went all pale, and she's like, "What happened?" I'm like, I actually cannot explain it. Like you don't have the time, nor like I'm never gonna see you again if I start explaining this.
Yeah, she will ghost you.
Lord.
So yeah, for those of you, there's no way you don't know this. Like, if you're fucking listening to this podcast or following this channel in any, like, to any degree, you obviously know this. But in case, just like in case someone decides to pick up this podcast a few years from now and have not like forgotten about this, the online creator of Sonichu has allegedly for legal reasons, raped his elderly, dementia-ridden mother. Which
is
like go on.
As with everything that has to do with Chris Chan, it can never just be clear cut dry because there's so much shit that happened in the background. It is insane.
Yeah,
but I want to set the scene for like I want to say like 1 or 2 months ago.
Yeah, where
Chris Chan supposedly for like Christine is always. It's I keep slipping more than usual just because this thing is so heinous. And
I actually also think I slipped up there.
Yeah, but like Christine for like a while has been supposedly grooming her mother to like come on to him in the sense that like taking advantage of her and doing naughty bits. There's supposedly a troll called Bella who knows this other person called Fiona, who supposedly is also dating Chris at the time in the background. So there's like this potential relationship, potential troll thing going on. You know, business as usual if you've been following Chris Chan for as long as anybody's been on the internet. But like while they were having this conversation, Chris is revealing that she's been it was not a one-off thing. It has repeatedly been happening.
Every 3 nights since June.
Yeah. Ugh. And the way it's described in horrible detail, because Chris, when you hear like the call, because this morning, they revealed another 10 minutes to the entire call, giving more context to what's going on. And Christine doesn't believe they're doing anything wrong about this. It's just she felt horny and her mother was there. So it just went to this whole thing was like trying to convince her. And supposedly Barbara, her mother, has like dementia. We don't know if she does.
No,
it is
there's rumors going around that she's actually faking it, although I do not believe that.
I have a mentally handicapped sister, and you can tell she's not all there. But that doesn't excuse it. It just like we've seen the videos before of like there was one where she was laying on the couch and kind of passed out, and just the way that he was acting towards her, was acting towards her mother. It gave me those vibes that I'm just like, oh, this is. And I guess that was before any of this happened, but it's just like, I got that feeling then. I'm like, this is not a proper relationship. This is between a mother and child.
No,
this is creepy, and
this is
ugh.
Sexual abuse. Just taking advantage of somebody who can't take care of themselves while you're in a position of power over them. If we're gonna boil it down, it's that. And it's kind of fucky too, because like this happened in June. July is what fucks me up. So, not sure if you know this, Amo, but the like Kiwi Farms, that originated as like a forum specifically just for Chris Chan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the creator, Null, is the guy who's the one who made the forum, and he was like in close contact with Chris for a very long time.
Yeah, he basically tried to set her straight.
Especially now.
So it's trying to help.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like, which is fucky because you know what Kiwi Farms is, but like this guy genuinely tried to care for Chris. Like he whenever like everyone would like go crazy over Chris, like Null would be the one to be like, okay, calm the fuck down. We all want to like fuck with him, but like I swear to God, don't troll Chris. Leave Chris alone. Like just watch and just let Christine live their. Well, he says Chris, you know what. But anyway, let Chris live their life. And there was an opportunity for him to teach Chris the value of $1. Because there was this fucking Peroni convention on the other side of the country. And Christine didn't have the money for it, but he basically reserved a ticket to go. So what Null did was he set up a Kickstarter for Christine to do art commissions. He set up a GoFundMe. Yeah, a GoFundMe. So if you pledge money, Christine will make a drawing for you, do a shout out. And like it got so popular, it's like $5,000 off the bat.
Nice.
The first 1,000 was supposed to be for like for like lodging, for like for the ticket, and the rest was just going to go to Chris for like like her own personal needs, so like for bills and shit,
Mm-hmm.
And this happens because like Christine actually makes really good progress. She does good drawings pretty consistently. She gets through halfway through the list of the GoFundMe, and like Noel told her, like, yeah, like as soon as you get this, as soon as we talk, like as soon as you're finished with this, you're gonna get all the money. And it's like she's doing it. She's not complaining. She's doing things on time. People are happy. It's like we're seeing her actually start to turn her life around. Now, before this is happening, Null tried to have a private conversation with Christine. Because, like, Christine was, like, gloating about, oh, she's in another relationship. And Null's like, hey, dude, it's, you want to be careful. You've been through this enough. It's like, you've been through trolls. You don't want to get through with trolls again, dude. Like, you want to be calm. But Christine starts, like, she lies to Null's face, which is something you wouldn't expect her to do. But she describes, like, oh, no, I have a new girlfriend. She's, like, in her 50s. She's a little older than me. But, like,
she's being coy about it. Like, she's like, she's hinting at it, like, she's a little older.
It's like, she used to be an accountant. She tells very lovely stories. She basically tells Null that she's been doing her mom for a month without saying it's her mother.
It's so gross, like that. And I listened to a little bit of sound clip, like so happy. She's so happy about it. It's like, this is stuff you should hide.
Yeah.
And she's so blatant about it. And, I get so,
I know a lot of this is just stuff that, like, she's mentally ill. She's so far gone, especially after the Idea Guy saga. She doesn't refer to her dad as Dad or Bob. She calls him Robert Chew.
Yeah, because he's a Sonichu.
He's so, like, disassociated from everybody, including her own family. It is fucked. It's very, very fucked.
I think like one of the I listened to the extended cut, the incriminating voice clip director's cut today, and there was something in that that really fucked me over, which is that Christine tried to kind of like justify why she was like having sex with her mom while at the same time being in a relationship with this Fiona lady. and she's like doing that, and by saying that, oh yeah, you see, I looked into the future, and I saw that this was like the right thing to do, and she like brings that up several times, where it's like, oh yeah, I looked into the future and saw this, and it's just like, how fucking far gone is this woman? Like, how crazy do you have to be to like say openly, hey, I looked into the future and found out that it's okay that I bang my mom? Like, I've documented this person's entire life from childhood to now, and I had no words. It is. You know what it is? It is an unfortunate episode that you chose to come in, Amo, because
yeah.
I think that's the best way I can say it. Because my God, like as the chat says, this has been blowing up. This was like the one of the most talked about things in the world while the Olympics are going on.
I want to point out, like, this was. I had my VPN going, and I was curious. This was trending in Germany, in many parts of Latin America, some parts of Europe, Japan, China, Russia. Everybody knows about Chris.
There's apparently like a professional esports player called Christian, and they were like, "I am not Christian." The account is like disabled now. The person just got fucking destroyed.
To be fair, like, I think there was also something with that Christian, because apparently he did some nasty stuff with I think it was like Lily Pichu. So apparently he has his own allegations against him, and that always came to light. So Chris Channel inadvertently did some good, supposedly, by exposing that. So that was fucked. But it's like, everything you're trying to like dig into it is insane. During the first night when Chris was evicted, Chris stole $750 out of Barbara's bank account.
Can we just talk about that for a moment?
Which is how they got arrested.
What was
I was gonna get to that, but like, well,
before the arrest, they got hit with like a thing that basically says, you two, you need to fuck off and like not get close to each other. And so what Chris can't pay for like a hotel, and the extended family that they were supposed to be staying at is like, no, you can fuck right off. So what she does is that apparently, because Barbara is so she's gone, Chris then has access to her bank account, and so she transfers $750 to herself, so that she can like crash at a hotel until the 5th of August, which is tomorrow as of recording right now. And like I don't like, surely when you get confronted about this, like there's no way she had
boys, take it upstairs.
There's no way she hasn't known that what she's been doing is like, at first she's probably been like, oh, I guess this is fine, and now that people have found out about it, she must have found out like, okay, this is not fine. So surely she must understand that at some point here she fucked up. And then to go and take the person you have essentially raped, take their money. I don't know why that just sits so wrong with me. Like that is just insult to injury in my book.
It's a rape and a robbery.
Yeah.
Like, it's awful and horrible, and like there's no way around it. So Amo, you did bring up like that's how they caught him. That's what I thought too. But
well, I think that was the charges that they got him on, because they couldn't arrest him for anything, or her on for what was going on. at home, but the theft charges is what led to an immediate arrest.
That's what I thought too. But supposedly there's that screenshot going around that's been verified that the charge they did get him on was for the incest.
Oh, see, I thought you couldn't charge without, like, proof, but I guess maybe they got proof. Either way, I'm, like, trying to stay away from it because it's, like, making me physically ill.
Understandably, like, this is nuts, because, like, no, like, by all senses of logic, you'd be right that, like, you wouldn't get them on that charge unless they had, like, the definite proof. Because it's not the 5th yet. Christine can't go back home. So, like, they needed that time to, like, determine whether or not Barb was, like, mentally able to do this. So, the only thing I can imagine is, like, after the first night, Barb was lucid enough to, like, throw Christine under the bus. That's my only way I can imagine for them to get her under that charge. So, they're definitely going to bring up the theft charge, and they're definitely going to bring up that. But I'm just like, the fact this happened is insane to me.
Yeah, and I think that's where why it's blown up so much. It's so insane. Like, it's funny to, like, make fun of like a poorly drawn Pikachu or poorly drawn Sonic, but that's all in good fun but this is like serious shit now. There's just And who does that? Like, how many stories can you think of in the past? We've heard of, like, sex allegations on like, younger girls and stuff like that. But your dementia-riddled mother.
Yeah.
What?
Like, how disconnected from reality do you have to be? Like
we got sickos, and then it's like, this is, like, what? Like, it breaks your brain.
A troll, I want you to put this in perspective, especially because we listen to the extended audio now.
The director's cut.
A troll tried to get him off his mother. A troll recognized what was happening and was trying to steer Chris to a normal relationship, and Chris turned them down. It wasn't a situation where it's like, oh yeah, that's fine, go with your mom. It's like, it was that situation where you just, like, nod your head and say, yeah, that's good, but how about this? And try and, like, you know, not to, like, immediately disagree with them so they, like, shut off. Like, you're just, you know, keeping them talking so you can try to steer them to your conversation. That was what Bella was trying to do in that call. But, like, this wasn't a troll manipulating Chris into doing her mom. This was out of Chris's own volition. Yes. That's the fucky part. It's
Chris has done a lot of, like, weird stuff, but typically
that's just like weird.
What? Sorry.
Yeah, but it's just like weird. It's not like harmful to anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And typically, like, that has been on the behest of, like, a troll being like, hey, maybe you should do this. Like, especially the idea guys really fucked her over. Like, hey, take them on the floor, or go and hit your mom, which she apparently also did, albeit lightly. But it's like, yes, this is, like, stuff that the trolls have encouraged her to do, but thus far there's nothing that is, and maybe, you know, with how fast this story is about, like, I put out an update video, which, by the way, can I get a little applause that I managed to put out an entire fucking video in, like, a day? Thank you. But, like, I put out that video, the moment that had finished, like, uploading, it was, like, out of date. Because, like, at that point, Christina had gotten arrested. Like, that's how fast the story is evolving. So I think it's just a matter of time before we find out, like, there's a lot of stuff that can happen. And we might find out down the line that a troll actually encouraged her to have sex with her mom. But, I don't know. It's just, like, Christine wanted attention and be shown on TV and stuff. That, like, you can look at any, like, endeavor she's tried, and that is always the main goal. Like, look at me, shine the spotlight on me, and then maybe girls will touch my penis. But boy howdy, there's a lot of cameras on her now, but I do not think the people are gonna touch her penis. Maybe to rip it off, I don't know.
Oh.
Like, so like there's this like article being spread around that like Chris is going to like a female prison. I'm like, we haven't even heard a trial yet.
Yeah, I am a little...
Like that one's a bit sussy. Like I'm not gonna believe that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but that also brings like an issue where Christine is just a whole complicated mess because like you can't talk about her without fighting somebody on something. Yeah. It is like I admit Lasse and I like come to the agreement that like her name is Christine. Her pronouns are she. And we're slipping out of like sheer duress and we apologize. But it's also, I understand there are people who want to point out that she's been trolled, she's mentally ill, she can't be like responsible for her actions, but there's a line and this is it. Like, you can forgive Christine for a lot of things and you can blame the trolls for a lot, but like you can't just hand wave the action she's done because of circumstances.
No.
Like there's you can't.
Amo, I want to ask, even though like you have mentioned how this makes you a little uncomfortable, what are your thoughts about like all of this?
I mean, it's the same as if she had done it to a child, given the current her mother's mental state. Like, like so you got to put it on that level where they can't defend themselves, they can't fight back, and they have nowhere to turn. So it's horrific. It absolutely is, and you got to know that Christine knows what she's doing to some extent. I mean, whatever mental incapacity she has, she knows what she's doing is wrong, and it's sickening to think about how in the voice clip she was so coy about it. Like, dude, there's a reason why you're only semi hiding this, but you have an urge to talk about it. And it's so gross. Like, she's got to know what she's doing is wrong, and she doesn't care.
When Null and her talked about this, the reason she gave that she was coy is like she didn't want trolls to harass her for being in a relationship with Chris, and they dropped the top. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. Anyone who's going to be with Chris is going to be like attacked because that's just what happens.
Yeah.
But she knew well enough not to tell her closest confidant about this, but she was willing to say this to somebody with a female voice over a call.
Yeah, who apparently after this whole thing blew up and everything, and someone got a hold of Christine, like doing the fallout of all this. She was like, "Oh yeah, I'm still friends with Bella," and it's like, what the fuck? Like, no, Chris, she's not gonna fuck you.
Well, even if you've seen the arrest video, like she's like, "Oh, everything's okay with your blue goddess," and I'm like, "What is wrong with you?"
Somebody asked,
"You're being arrested."
Yeah.
Is the dimensional merge happening? No, the dimensional merge is happening right now. You'll be fine. This is okay.
I think she needs some mental help. I think, maybe this is a good thing where like the state will come in and go, okay, clearly you are a danger to yourself and people around you. Here's some help. But we all know how America is with mental health issues. Yeah. But hopefully, she can get help in some way or form, because she's never going to seek it herself.
No. People have encouraged her to do so for years, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I've been there, didn't help." And people are like, "Okay, where did you go?" And she's like, "Don't worry about it."
There was this meme I saw where like they like it was just like this meme of I can't remember who it was sweating. I think it was like a Tanjiro clip looking at his phone. It's and the caption read Chris Chan's lawyer reading up the night before the case who Chris Chan actually
is it like the Key and Peele or whatever? A sweating video?
Yeah, it's like, fuck, there's that, and it's like, there's a, why is there a 51-part documentary? Why is it ongoing?
Apparently...
You mean it's not done?
Apparently the dude who makes the documentary, Gino Sorel, is going on hiatus.
He is.
I think this is too much for him.
Yeah. He did a selfie lying down on bed when the news broke, and it's like, I need off for a bit.
Don't blame him.
I don't blame him.
Oh, he was gonna go on hiatus anyway. Oh, okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but it's like you couldn't have picked a better time, honestly.
And I couldn't have picked a better time to pick Sunny to pick up. Okay, so let me ask you guys. I'm gonna start with you, Emma, because you're the guest. What do you guys think should happen to Chris from here? Like, let's say that the court finds her guilty. What should happen?
I think she needs to get some mental help, like some court mandated. You need to spend time in a mental facility with somebody who can help you and keep you from being a menace to society.
So, like, get proper people to, like...
Proper help, yeah.
Yeah. Well.
I mean, but also I don't wish ill on anybody.
No, of course.
So that's what Christine needs. That's what, I mean, I think throwing her in prison is going to be harmful in multiple ways. Like, you know, and you're subjecting other people now to that. No, you need to put her in a facility where she can't leave, but she's also getting help.
Yeah.
Like that, ultimately that needs to, I agree. In a perfect world where we have where America actually gives a shit about mental health and we have systems in place where this shit doesn't happen. The grand ideal would be for Christine to be in some sort of facility, to be looked at, taken care of, and like given help, being told the shit she's doing is wrong and try to like steer her in the right direction. This is like take her back from whatever the hell she's in right now, because this is, people say it's rock bottom, and people make jokes like, oh, there's never a rock bottom with Christine, but like I hope this is it. I hope this is the point where the state comes in, or like some sort of plea where she gets like, you know, she gets taken to some asylum. I guess not asylum, but like she gets help.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, what that help is, what that's gonna look like, I genuinely don't have any idea anymore. Because like this is more than just your average social worker. This is like a very heinous crime.
Yeah.
This is just cementing her as like a danger to society.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she's not going to fare well in prison, male or female, wherever they decide to put her in.
So I'm gonna hit with like a little curveball here. And this is a thought that I haven't thought fully through, so bear with me. But I personally think that I would maybe like to see her go to prison. I know that she may not fare there too well, but I feel that we are where we are now because we have handled Christine too much with kid gloves. I feel that we have, oh, it's so bad for you. Oh no, let's help you. Oh no, and it's like I don't think she's been properly reprimanded for the stuff that she's done before. I always think that someone has been like, oh no, like, and you can see that when you see her videos and the stuff that she writes and stuff, where it's like, it's never her fault. It's like, oh, I pepper sprayed a guy. That was because they forced me to, and it's actually Sega's fault that I'm here now. I ran over the owner of the game place. Well, that's because he's a money hungry Jew. Like, it's never like no one has ever really just gone in on the trolls, obviously, but no one has ever actually sat her down and go, this is the consequences of your actions. These are gonna suck big time. But guess what? That's what happens when you're being a trash human being. So, like, it's very mean-spirited of me, and I haven't followed.
No, I see your point.
Yeah,
Because like, there was that video of them doxing another person. It's like, oh, go hate on him, and it's like, oh no, don't do that.
It's like, oh, like call him a big. Cause this person's not trans. Just everyone who's homophobic, call him a homo. Homo.
Yeah, that clip lives rent free in my head. It's fucking wild.
But, I mean, ultimately, it's up to other people to choose what should be done, and they're probably going to do a psych eval, and hopefully, what needs to happen happens.
Like pie in the sky, Chris actually gets the help she needs. What's actually going to happen, I have no idea, because Chris, this is like, I think in the call, Christine said like she went to jail for like a couple days and then got let off. There's like paralegals on YouTube like going through Virginia law and like trying to figure out like, well, she has autism, so they might be able to like not waive the charges, so to speak, but like essentially give her parole for at the end of the day. But like essentially, give her a light sentence. But like that has to do with like crimes of like, trespassing or avoiding orders. She raped somebody and then she stole her money. And it's incest.
Within days.
And stole that money while like court mandated to like basically what do they call a restraining order. Like
emergency protective order. It was an EPO.
Yeah, like breaking that. So like there's 3 or 4 crimes all in one here. But yeah, so like if she's to get mental health, because like I feel like this is maybe the conversation that you don't hear as much, which is like, let's say that she is about to get like help, like psychological help, and like get treated nicely, which one can always hope. Do you think that I hate to use this term, but it's been a long day and I'm translating here on the fly, but do you think that with like she's 39 years old now, do you think that they can fix her before before she still has any life left to live, basically? Because she, like, it cannot be understated how fucking far gone she is.
No, I don't think she could ever be like you or me in that capacity. But she might become functional, or at least understand more societal rules. Nix. Oh, sorry, my dog's flipping out right now. Okay. I'm like, go quiet. My dog's barking at people passing by. Stop it.
Her name is Nix.
Nix, yes.
Oh, adorable.
Okay, you're fine. Yeah, she's like, oh, somebody passed by the house, I gotta bark.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think Christine will ever be. I wonder if she'll ever be like a contributing member of society. But maybe she could be a safe person in society and at least understand more social rules.
Yeah.
To at least get on.
Sorry.
That's all.
I always had this thought that it's a bit more of a like, Chris Chan is going to be one of those people who is like the shut-in artist, where after her death, the things she left behind are going to be worth crazy amounts, and she's going to be touted as like, or like the story of her life is going to be it's going to be told in schools. It's going to be looked at as there's going to be there's already thesis papers about Chris Chan, but it's like it's going to be. I think after this event, it's going to be so widespread that she's made her mark in history.
Bro, I just fucking realized. You know how like we talked about crypto earlier?
Yeah.
I believe wholeheartedly that Christine could become a millionaire by selling Sonichu as NFTs.
Yeah.
Oof.
I don't like that thought.
No,
like,
I don't like it either. But
like if honestly, like she made like $1,000, like $5,000 for like not even 100 drawings, like less than 100, because a lot of those were like shout outs too.
yeah.
If she just worked on Sonichu and that was it, she would have been fine.
Yeah.
Quick coin.
Oh, that's good. But yeah, like it was just like an extension to that whole like they're gonna be like a person who after trying to say it nicely after the fact. We're going to like look back on, and there's probably people who are gonna be like going crazy over like the footprint that Christine has left, because like as many people have brought up, like she was the first brony, she was the first Let's Player, she was one of the very first like openly non-gender conforming people on the internet. Like there's been a lot of things where Christine has been a trendsetter just by being Christine, and like her or hate her as much as you want, but her role in the grand scheme of things cannot be understated.
Yeah. It's a big, I guess it's not like I think it's not the term catch-22, but it's like you can't understate the things she's done, but at the same time you can't understate the things she's done.
No, exactly.
I kind of like trailed off on my original point when I was talking about like her being looked at as like an artist in history, but it's like I have a hope that if she gets help, she can be like one of us. I genuinely believe that. Like maybe not like to the extent like have like a normal functioning society, but I'm like she's never gonna be the person Bob was, or the person that like Barb. Well, she's probably more like Barb now than she was Bob, but she's not going to be like a functioning like conservative member of society. She's going to be who she is.
Yeah.
She could like there could have been a life where she turned herself around in the sense that like Sonichu is just an entity that goes on. The story just keeps going forward. People are paying her money for the rest of her life because they just want to see her do things and they just want to see the story go on. And that could have been it. She could have learned not to like fall into trolls and not to fall into these basic urges and not to like genuinely believe in this stuff. She could have, if she had help, she could have.
Yeah.
I'm also going to say if she gets help and nothing comes of it, then prison's the best thing for her at this point.
Yeah.
Because if help will work, please at least give her the option.
Oh, yeah.
But if it doesn't, and we exhausted all of our resources, then put her away.
Yeah.
Because at this point, it would be only for her own good. As horrible of the place as prison is, she's proven that like she's a danger to society. She can't be left to her own devices.
Yeah.
Like not in the state that she's in right now.
I don't recall who said it in the chat, but I think like all three of us are like we're not talking about like oh my god, is this not the fucking crazy shit? We're talking about it like obviously because of the seriousness of the topic, but there's definitely a sense of sadness, and that is probably because that we know so much about this person. We have become so familiar with her and Barbara and the life of Christine. So like seeing it have like this end, like even if you didn't like Christine, I don't think that you could like really help kind of rooting for her, being like, you know, it would legit be nice if she could like grow up and kind of like enjoy herself and actually be happy, because you know, like everyone deserves to be happy. And then you see this, and it's just like, this is like the worst thing that could fucking happen to a person that you've been rooting for. I don't know if that's just me. Feel free to chime in on that one.
No, yeah, it's like you just kind of hope things will start going better, and then it's just right down the toilet.
Yeah.
Any like, oh, I wish people would stop trolling her. Maybe that would help. Maybe I hope she would get some friends, widen her circle, learn how to socialize better. But no, that chance of any kind of better future is really just it's gone.
It's completely done now, because like I saw this mentioned in the Wild West. Like everything that she's done has been kind of like in a little pocket dimension called the internet, where it's like, oh no, she's a dumb thing on the internet, or oh, she mazed a person in this little GameStop store in this like outback shitty place. But now it is one of the most talked about stories across the fucking globe. Like everyone's gonna know that you're the fucking person that fucked your mom.
Yep, there's no escaping that.
Yeah.
I bring up Null a lot because there's something like so poetically tragic about, you have like you have someone who is like at the same time their biggest supporter and like the root of a lot of their detractment. Because like she Null owned the Kiwi farms. Null made it for Chris. He was like the biggest fan. He went out of his way to like bail her out a lot of times. And when the news broke, like this was like the brightest we've ever seen Christine like shine. This was like she was making actual progress. Things were getting done. She was happy. Like things were looking so good. And then like a goddamn isekai truck, it just blindsides you from the right of the screen with this news.
Yeah.
Like how things were going so well. And to just this all come abruptly, like apparently there was like foreshadowing, very creepy hints happening in the background. So it was over since June. We just didn't know about it.
Yeah.
But now that the news broke, like cat's out of the bag. Not only is this public on the internet, people who never heard of Christine before
knows about Christine now.
Yeah. So like this is. If this isn't a high-profile case, like I think I mentioned the Wild West, like the biggest tinfoil hat conspiracy I had was like the worst-case scenario was that this becomes, this gets taken to Supreme Court and it becomes Sonichu versus the United States about whether or not incest should be not like decriminalized, like that kind of insanity, like. Maybe that's where we're gonna go, but like it's over now.
Yeah.
It is. If you're gonna get help, get it now, and if you're not, just like don't bother at this point because it's this is the line you've crossed. It's not good. It's not fair. It's not. It's heinous.
Yeah. So I always like to do this before we do anything, but I was thinking of maybe moving along. So I don't know, Cloudy or Amo, if you have anything to add here at the end.
No.
This is sad. Let's make sure we don't forget about the questions today.
That was what I was leading into.
Oh yeah.
Because. We have some questions that were being sent in to our mailbox at webcastrelief@gmail.com.
That's webcastrelief at webcastrelief@gmail.com.
You Peter was. Hey Amo, where can people send their letters if they have any questions?
Their letters to me?
No, to the podcast.
Oh, I Oh gosh, the Webcast Relief.
Huh?
I didn't hear it.
I guess it's.
I'm sorry. I got a gremlin next to me right now, so.
It's at gmail.com.
At gmail.com. Okay.
There we go. All right. So first one is for everybody. This is from Why Not from the server. Sorry if this question is super dumb. I'm gonna fight you. Why not? Don't you dare say that. But I can't think of anything better right now. Would you rather be stuck in Silent Hill or Raccoon City, and how would you escape from the place you chose?
Raccoon City.
Yeah, Raccoon City.
How would you guys... See, I was about to say Silent Hill, but I want to hear what you guys have to say.
It's just zombies where you don't have to deal with like Pyramid Head and stuff like that. Like, no, that's nonsense. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plus, it has Ada Wong, so I'm like, you know what? Maybe things are not that bad.
See, I personally believe I have a better chance of surviving Silent Hill. Because when you look at those games, like, it's usually just, you're just some guy with maybe, like, a pipe and a gun, if you're lucky. But usually you can, like, run away from all the bad guys if you're clever or you're fast enough. In Raccoon City, you have, like, hyper zombies and big mutants, and all the people you're playing are, like, military professionals. You're not a military professional. You're probably going to be one of the civilians left behind when the city's going to get nuked. I think I genuinely think I have a better chance of outrunning Pyramid Head than outrunning Nemesis.
Yeah, but just don't get found. But it seems like Silent Hill is more like spooky, and you're not going to get out no matter what you do. You might get like trapped in an endless loop of time of, I just escaped the city and now I'm walking back into it. At least Raccoon City, if you escape the city, you escape the city.
Yeah, there's no like, while there is some unrealistic stuff, there's not like outright like paranormal stuff going on.
I mean, you also have to keep in mind, I can also run into the ending where it's just it's been a Shiba Inu behind a control station the entire time.
That is true, but you can also run to the ending where you killed your wife.
That is also very true.
Why,
So it's
did
a gamble.
why did you do it, Cloudy? Why did you kill your wife?
I didn't know what I was doing at the time.
see,
I misinterpreted the rules.
See, Ammo and I, we didn't kill our wives. We're not like that. But I guess that you are, so, you know. Good for you, I guess.
Hey, at least you survived.
At least I survived. But at what cost?
Yeah, you have to live with the burden.
Or the ending with the aliens. Yeah, I could get abducted by aliens and taken away and be probed for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but there's people who would pay money for that.
Fair enough. Okay. And the last question we're going to get today is from Caesar. And this is weird. This is worded weirdly. You have 7 metric days to live, or 1 week in Imperial time, before a meteor hits the world and kills everyone. How do you spend it? Only you know this is going to happen, and no one else believes you when you tell them. How does this affect you mentally?
All right, Emma, you go first.
I would just have the best time with my kids.
What?
And just not let them know anything was wrong and just like do everything that they want to do, even if I hate it. Like, come on, Mom, let's jump on your back and be like, well, I guess you can now.
I guess you can't know.
Well,
Why the
fuck do you gotta come with like the most wholesome fucking like best mom answer? And here I'm probably just gonna get shit faced and punch a dude. Like,
when you become a parent, things change and you like stop worrying about yourself so much as worrying about them. At least if you're a good parent. But it's like, oh, like I used to stay up at night sometimes like, oh God, one day I'm going to die, which is what we all do. And then now it's, oh God, what if I don't survive to like my kid's graduation? He needs his mom there. He needs his mom at his graduation. So like my mentality is like completely switched to where I don't say that I live for my children, but I definitely, they are a big part of my life. And I can't imagine anybody who like abandons their kids or stuff like that, or, oh, it's the end of the world. Well, I'm just going to get shit-faced and just fuck everybody. I'm going to walk out on my family. It'd be like, well, if you're single, that's fine, but I couldn't do that to my kids. I wouldn't let that be their last moments. No. Mm-mm.
I actually cried a little bit because my mom didn't come to my graduation.
My mom didn't come to my graduation either.
I'm sorry. Oh, no.
Okay, double up. So again, I for those of you who don't know, in Denmark we have a like completely different school system than you have in America. Like we have one school from like kindergarten class to 10th grade, and so when I passed 10th grade, my mom didn't come. None of my family did. So thanks for that, by the way. My best friend at the time's mom was there. She's like, I'm your mom now. And I was like, yay. And then when I completed my master's due to COVID, I also graduated with no one there. I was sat in my fucking living room wearing a suit, wearing a shirt and boxers. Because I had to be on webcam. That's how my fucking second graduation went. So yeah, I'm graduating twice without anyone there.
And see, it's important.
Yeah,
It is important.
Oh, by the way, Amo, I don't know if you can see the chat, but people are asking you to be their mom.
I know, I haven't looked at the chat. I'm always afraid I might accidentally drop the call.
Oh, fair. Oh, lordy.
What would you do? Okay, so while you okay.
No, because it's like I'm not really that much of a wild person. I've gotten to a point where, like, if you asked me this a couple years ago, I would have said I would have driven to my school that failed me, and I would have fucking Molotov the place because fuck it, they made my years hell. But I already paid off my student debt, and now I feel with that kind of freedom comes like some. I don't really have that many. I don't feel like there's much I want to do now, and it's like I'm not really the kind of person who'd go out and like rob shit and loot stores when I know the world's gonna end. I feel like I don't know. I guess like the word is like clean up, because like I've had some relationships I've messed up, and I want to like just get in contact with the people that like I may have hurt in the past and like apologize. I'd probably like. I guess I'd go to everyone I actually cared about and just tell them, like, make sure we're all square is the best way I can describe it. Like clean up my life in a way. You know? Unfinished business sort of things. Leave nothing unsaid.
Yeah.
I swear, fuck the boat. You're making me look like a fucking cunt.
Like I'm just gonna get drunk.
I'm just gonna get drunk.
I don't get drunk.
I'm sat here legit going, okay, like on the real. Obviously, I'm not gonna go out and fight with someone. What would I do? And I'm like, max out my credit card and go eat like really nice stuff. I'm the most selfish prick compared to you two fucking saints out here. God damn.
Well, here's the trick, Riiser, because I already maxed out my credit card getting DoorDash, so I don't have to have that regret.
You know what? Fair enough.
You can't sin at the end of the world if you're already sinning. But like,
keep the combo going.
Look, when an end of just to like keep the conversation going, like at the end of the world scenario, it's a weird thing because it's like, what do you do if you can't stop it? Like if you're not gonna get like a crack team of like engineers together to like drill a bomb into the meteor.
You shut the fuck up about Armageddon now. You shut the fuck up about Armageddon.
Yes. If you're not gonna do that, then it's like, what's that gonna change? It's like, well, like aside from maybe, well, at least you have a time clock. Well, actually, to be honest with you, knowing me, I'm gonna procrastinate on all that.
Probably
so
gonna
I'll
sleep
just
through
live the entire. I'm gonna sleep through like the first 6 days, like I normally fucking do, and then on the last day, I'm gonna make peace with everybody. But for everything else, it's probably not gonna affect me. It's like, well, I can't do anything about it. Fuck it.
There's a Danish pop song came out from like a Danish boy band, where it was like, "Yo, man, listen. If you had one day left to live, what would you do? What I would do." And then he says the dumbest fucking thing in the world. And he does it because it rhymes in Danish. But essentially he says, I don't know what I would do. I would probably look myself in the mirror and kill time. And it's like, you have a day, homie. A day. And you want to kill time? You're in a rush, bro. You have stuff to do. What the fuck you mean you're gonna kill time?
He's gonna fight his inner demons, and he's gonna bring boxing gloves.
That's kind of like the people who like sit there and they're like, "Oh, I'm never gonna do anything with my life." It's like, don't you have any aspirations? Like, no, I'm okay just sitting here washing dishes. Like, yeah, dishes need to be washed, but don't you want to like get raises and be better? And nah.
Fuck
I'm
it.
like, Jesus.
I feel like that's like a thing. That's a whole thing because you have aspirations, but maybe they've been beaten down so much they think like, oh, they don't deserve it, or they just. I can't imagine not having any to begin with, but I can imagine like somebody giving up on their aspirations because I've been there before.
Oh yeah.
But, like, you can't I can't believe you're a person if you don't have that drive to begin with. Like, something must have happened to you to say, I don't want to do it anymore. I feel safe here. It's good to have, like, comfort, but it's like, you gotta want something, bro.
Gotta be hungry.
It's like, yo, you ever have I want a frittata. Go get that frittata, motherfucker.
A what?
Something. Just anything. Just want something.
It's like an egg dish. It's like a super fancy omelet. A frittata.
What
But it's like,
what if all they wanna do is eat ass?
then they find somebody's ass to eat.
Yep.
Will satisfy them.
Yeah.
Find that ass, brother.
Go get it.
Don't let your
get
dreams be dreams.
I wanna. I want to be able to like tell the people how I feel about them at the end of the world. I want to do that now,
Do it.
but I'm a bit of a bitch, so I'm gonna find the strength to do it. But that day and today,
That's fair.
that is fair. Sounds Mexican. Yes, me some Mexican food.
I like speaking about the whole thing about making amends. I remember after I put out my Please Live video, apparently someone had also posted it on Facebook, and so one of the people who had bullied me back in school reached out to me and was like, "Hi, Lasse. I can understand that you felt like you were being mistreated back in school," and like. At that moment, like when I read that, like that phrasing, I was just like, "You can fuck off." Like,
Sounds like his therapist told him to do it.
Yeah, yeah. And then they're like, "I'm really sorry that you felt that way. It was never my intention." Then maybe you shouldn't fucking bully me for 5 years straight, you stupid cunt. So yeah, I just very kindly told her to fuck off.
Yeah. At that point, it's like a little too little too late. Like, jeez, no.
Okay, that's a note to end this on.
Yeah.
Get your aspirations, but also be sincere. Don't be a cunt.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Ammo. What can people expect from you in creative endeavors, and where can they find them?
Currently you can find me on Patreon, which I guess we can put a link to because I can't remember it. Again, my husband takes care of that, and I'm like, I don't know my emails. I'm like, please. But we're also working on Skylords, which you can get or either early on Patreon, or you could just wait for the pages to release. We release on the 1st and the 15th. And honestly, that's mostly what I do now. And now I'm going to be homeschooling again. But I won't be able to help you guys with that. But as far as creative, no, I just, Patreon is where you can find me. You can find me on FA with the same name, Amocin. And Skylords, that's about it for right now.
Yeah.
But there's going to be more stuff in the future, and we'll announce that when we can.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, Amo, thank you so much for joining the podcast. I'm so sorry that you had to pick the one where we had to talk about the bullshit, but
it's fine.
Thank
you for having me.
We did not plan that.
No.
I want to tell you that.
I don't think anybody did, but
we didn't plan for the League of Christian to drop. We can have you on some other time where we can talk about more happy things than yeah. Do we have anything cool to end this on?
I made lemonade for the first time in 20 years, and it was pretty damn good.
Fucking nice. Everyone, go read Druids and get ready for Skylords. Go check out Amo on Patreon. She's a lovely person. I support the show for many, many years now, and she's super cool, and so is her husband. So by all means, go check them out.
Thank you.
Please support Amo. You heard her here. She's amazing.
And support Riiser.
And Riiser.
Oh no, don't do that. See you guys next time. Bye.